Chapter 311. Something big had indeed happened at Yenching University. Several people from the military training had been admitted to the hospital and were unconscious. The members of 502, Guoshu, and Wang Tong were all admitted to the hospital. They did not have any external injuries, but their bodies were covered in red spots and they were unconscious. The hospital couldn't find anything either, which made the school very anxious. When Tang Zheng rushed to the hospital, he saw his former comrades lying on the white hospital beds. His heart felt like it had been stabbed. After asking the doctor, he found out that they had fallen ill 2 days ago. They were like this when they fell ill, and their vital signs were disappearing bit by bit. Yi Dingdang looked at the frowning Tang Zheng and comforted him. "Don't worry, the heavens help the good so nothing will happen to them." Tang Zheng was silent. The hospital was helpless, and they could not find out what the disease was. This was not a good sign. Why are the 5 of them the only ones who fell ill? Tang Zheng asked, puzzled. Yi Dingdang shook her head. "I don't know. I heard that they were all fine before they fell ill. Some of them were even dating people from our dormitory. Once they fell ill, they became like this. It was very sudden. Is it an infectious disease?" The hospital has already concluded that it is not an infectious disease. But the hospital has already informed their families. They can't do anything. What do you mean they can't do anything? Isn't it their duty to save the dying and heal the injured? Tang Zheng was furious. The hospital has already done their best. They mobilized the best doctors in the city for a consultation, but they still can't do anything. This is like a new disease that has never been seen before. Then why are they the ones who fell ill, but the others are fine? Yi Dingdang shook her head and did not say anything. This was what she was most puzzled about. Sigh, the 5 of them were once our comrades. Now they are lying on the hospital beds. It is so sad. Military training. Tang Zheng's head lit up. That's right. These 5 people appeared at the terrorist base. Could it be related to the demons? Tang Zheng thought and asked, "What about Takashi Takashi?" Takashi? Why are you asking him? I heard that he's fine. Yi Dingdang was very puzzled. He's fine. Tang Zheng was very puzzled. Logically speaking, Takashi was also at the scene in the valley, so why was he not affected? Dingdang, you go back and rest first. We'll start class tomorrow. I'll stay behind to look after them. I'll accompany you. No need, you can go back. Seeing that Tang Zheng was determined, Yi Dingdang did not insist. She only told him to contact her if he needed anything. In the dead of night, Tang Zheng sat in the ward and looked at the few people who were on the verge of death. He felt that it was very strange. He suspected that this matter was related to the demon race. Just as he was about to check their bodies, the 5 of them sat up at the same time. Yes, the 5 of them moved at the same time, as if they were soldiers who had heard the order. Their eyes emitted a red light, which was extremely strange. Tang Zheng was shocked. What's going on? At the same time, the 5 of them quickly got out of bed and then walked out. Tang Zheng was thoughtful, but he did not stop them. All of this was too strange. These 5 people were like marionettes controlled by strings. He wanted to see where they were going. The 5 of them avoided the medical staff and walked out of the hospital. When they reached the street, the 5 of them suddenly accelerated. They had undergone strict military training, so their physical strength and endurance were not bad. They quickly ran. Fortunately, it was already the middle of the night. Otherwise, 5 people in hospital gowns running around would definitely cause a commotion. Tang Zheng unhurriedly followed behind the 5 of them. About half an hour later, they arrived at a small forest in a park. There was no one in the park. It was very quiet. The 5 of them familiarly walked to the center of the small forest. Tang Zheng stopped at a distance, but he could see everything in the forest. A person sat cross-legged on a rock. His body emitted a faint red light, which was very similar to the red light in the eyes of the 5 people. However, this person's back was facing Tang Zheng, so he could not see his face clearly. Could it be that this person is playing tricks behind the scenes? Tang Zheng did not act rashly. He wanted to see what this person wanted to do. At such a close distance, If the other party wanted to make things difficult for them, he could also rush out to help them. Haha, the high-level cultivation techniques of the demon clan are indeed extraordinary. I never thought that I would have such a great harvest from that trip to the valley. Not only did I obtain the demon god's blood essence, I also obtained this set of cultivation techniques. The man laughed and muttered to himself. The 5 of them stood in front of him, not moving an inch, not saying a word. High-level cultivation technique of the demon clan? Demon god's blood essence. Tang Zheng's head trembled, hearing this person's words. It seems that he also went to the terrorists' base camp in the valley. The demon god's blood essence must be the red light that shot out in all directions after the demon god exploded. This person's voice is a little familiar. I seem to have heard it somewhere before. Takashi, yes, this person is Master Gao. Back then in the valley, other than these 5 people, wasn't it Takashi and Marshall? Looking at his appearance, he is clearly a cultivator. How could Takashi be a cultivator? However, this also explains the series of unusual things that happened to Takashi. Takashi definitely knows that I am a cultivator. He is a poisonous snake that has been eyeing me covetously from the side. Tang Zheng felt a chill, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Since he is from the demon clan, then he must be eliminated. Tang Zheng made up his mind, killing intent surging in his eyes. Takashi stood up and turned his face so that Tang Zheng could see it clearly. Takashi looked at the 5 people and said, after absorbing the demon god's blood essence from the 5 of you, then I can reach the 1st grade of foundation establishment. Haha, back then, even my master did not reach this realm. I did not expect that I would be able to reach it so quickly. The heavens are really helping me. When my power increases, I will definitely tear Tang Zheng into 10,000 pieces. Chimph, you want to kill me? I will get rid of you today. Tang Zheng said quietly. Takashi's eyes flashed with a bright light. His fingers moved and made a very complicated gesture. Then, the 5 people let out a blood-curdling scream as a red light slowly rose above their heads. The 5 people's expressions were twisted in pain, and their life force was slowly being sucked away by the red light. This red light was the demon god's blood essence, and it had completely fused with their life force. If the demon god's blood essence was sucked away, then their life force would also be completely cut off. Tang Zheng instantly understood this point. He no longer hid and jumped out with a su sound. He did not shout. Wasn't that a reminder to Takashi? He quietly arrived behind Takashi. Takashi suddenly became alert and realized that there was someone behind him. It was too late for him to resist, so he jumped forward. Puff. Even so, his shoulder was pierced through by the war soul sword, dripping with blood. Takashi landed on the ground in a sorry state. He turned his head and looked at Tang Zheng. He obviously recognized him and turned pale with fright. Tang Zheng, how could it be you? Chimph, why wouldn't it be me? Takashi, you really hid it well. You're actually from the demon clan. Tang Zheng said with a murderous look. It's really a small world. Tang Zheng, you've come to ruin my plans again. I'm going to tear you into 10,000 pieces. Takashi gnashed his teeth, his face sinister. Chimph, you haven't even reached the foundation establishment realm, and you want to kill me? You're dreaming. Tang Zheng said disdainfully. Tang Zheng, don't be complacent. When I absorb the demon god's blood essence, it will be the time of your death. Is that so? I don't think you have that chance. Tang Zheng raised his sword and attacked. Takashi immediately counterattacked, but how could he be a match for Tang Zheng? Moreover, his shoulder was injured, so he kept retreating. Takashi, tell me the truth. When did you become a demon clan? This was what Tang Zheng was most confused about. Haha, Tang Zheng, didn't you boast that you were very powerful? How come there's something you don't know? Chimph, I'm not some bullshit Takashi. I'm Daoist Tianji's disciple. Back then, I almost died at your hands. Fortunately, I was lucky. The other seemed to know that he was doomed, so he no longer hid his identity. It's you. Tang Zheng was shocked. Back then, you were lucky enough to escape. Today, there won't be such a good thing. This time, Tang Zheng finally understood the cause and effect. He didn't have any pity in his heart. This person wasn't Takashi Takashi. Takashi Takashi was already dead. He was just borrowing Takashi Takashi's body. Haha, you didn't expect this, right? Tang Zheng, let me tell you, even if I die, Lord Demon God will take revenge for me and tear you to pieces. What do you mean? Haha, of course you don't know who Lord Demon God is. I believe you will see him, but that will be the time of your death. The other party's expression became more and more sinister. Whether I die or not is a matter for the future. Right now, you will definitely die. Tang Zheng stabbed out with his sword. The strong pressure made the other party unable to resist. I'm not willing, Tang Zheng, I want you to die. The other party's eyes widened as he roared. However, this park was so big that no one could hear him. Pu. The sword pierced his chest. The other party stared blankly at the battle soul sword in his chest. He spat out blood and muttered to himself, I never thought that this sword of mine would have such great power. This is no longer your sword. It has completely transformed. Tang Zheng disdainfully said. The battle soul sword was equivalent to a dead object having a soul. Its power was completely different. Go to hell and reunite with Daoist Tianji. In the future, you can no longer harm others. Tang Zheng pulled out the battle soul sword. The other party's eyes were wide open as his life force was completely cut off. Tang Zheng found a jade tablet on his body and immediately understood that this must be the high-level demon race cultivation technique that the other party was talking about. His heart moved. Could there be a way to save these 5 people? Thus, he quickly put away the jade tablet. As for Takashi Takashi's corpse, he naturally had a way to deal with it. He was just about to use his true fire to destroy the corpse when he saw a ball of red light floating over from afar. A terrifying aura covered the sky and covered the earth. Chapter 312. The demon god was here. Tang Zheng was shocked and quickly grabbed the 5 people and ran away. Fortunately, the 5 people were like puppets and did not move, so he could control them easily. They hid behind a big rock outside the woods and watched from a distance. The divine soul of the demon god stopped in front of Takashi Takashi's body, frowned and said, It was him who contacted me. But who killed him? The divine soul was a mass of red light, without a specific human shape, but its strength was definitely not small. Tang Zheng did not dare to rush out rashly. It's just a shrimp soldier and crab general. It's good that he died. I can use his body to be reborn. The demon god sneered proudly, and the red light immediately wrapped Takashi Takashi. The wounds on Takashi Takashi's body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. A moment later, Takashi Takashi flipped over and stood up. A red light flashed in his eyes, and he laughed ferociously. Haha, God is helping me. I really came to this world. Warriors, wait. When I fully recover my strength, your doomsday will come. This world will belong to the demon race in the future. Tang Zheng heard it clearly and was shocked. There was no doubt that the demon god's current cultivation was far superior to Tang Zheng's. He could not go out and fight. Besides, there were 5 people around him, so it was more important to save his life. The demon god is really up to no good. I must stop him. Tang Zheng thought silently, but before he could think of a way, the demon god's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. What should I do now? Isn't Tian Chanzi looking for the demon god? Should I tell him the whereabouts of the demon god? No, not to mention where Heaven Monk is right now, I don't know anything about it. Even if he is by my side, if I tell him that the demon god has taken over Gao Dazi's body, then he will capture the demon god. If the 2 of them work together to summon all the cultivators back, then it will be a disaster for this world. Tang Zheng felt like he had fallen into an ice cave. He really had not figured out how to solve this problem. Let's wait and see. We don't know where the demon god will go. I should get these people back to the hospital first. It took a lot of effort for Tang Zheng to bring the 5 of them back to the hospital. They were in a coma again. Previously, Takashi Takashi must have used the method in the jade tablet to summon them. Why don't I take a look at the jade tablet and see if there's a way to resolve it? With a thought, Tang Zheng sank into the jade plate. Immediately, he found the solution to the problem in the jade plate. However, this method did not extract the demonic god's blood essence from their bodies, because the blood essence had already fused with their lives. If it was extracted, they would definitely lose their lives. Instead, it used a special method to seal the blood essence so that it could not harm its master. Taking advantage of the dead of the night when no one would disturb him, Tang Zheng immediately used this secret technique to seal the demon god blood essence in the 5 of them. That way, they would be safe and sound in the future. After all this last night, Tang Zheng played with the jade tablet and thought, this is the high-level cultivation method of the demon race. Is there anything I can practice? Tian Chanzi once said that in fact, the demon race and the people of the righteous Tao have become mortal enemies because of different cultivation methods. If I practice the demon race's cultivation method, wouldn't I also fall into the demon path? He was shocked, but then he thought about it. Since the righteous Tao and the demon race were enemies, they should know each other. Only then could they be undefeated. Understanding the other party's cultivation method would be helpful in dealing with the demon race in the future. There was more than one set of cultivation methods in the jade tablet. Tang Zheng skimmed through them one by one and found that the demon race's cultivation method was indeed insidious. Many of them were methods to absorb other people's lifespan and blood essence to improve their cultivation. No wonder it was criticized as the demon path. Hey, swallowing the sky technique. Suddenly, Tang Zheng stopped at a set of cultivation method. This swallowing the sky technique did not need to consume other people's lifespan or blood essence. This set of cultivation method is interesting. It doesn't say what kind of power I can achieve after practicing it, but since this is a high-level cultivation method of the demon race, and it is not so insidious, why don't I give it a try? Anyway, the night was long. Tang Zheng began to practice this swallowing the sky technique. After a while, there was no change in his body, even his Zhen Qi did not fluctuate at all. This made him distressed. Could it be that I can't learn this swallowing the sky technique? Am I not a skywalker? I shouldn't be so stupid. Tang Zheng scratched his head and said unhappily, I don't care about it for the time being, I will slowly study it when I have time in the future. Suddenly, his throat stopped moving. He stared dumbfoundedly at the chair he had just slapped. No, the chair was no longer there. The place where the chair had been was empty. The chair disappeared into thin air. Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. F***ck, what is going on? He was confused. He didn't do anything just now. Was there a ghost? Of course there was no ghost. He turned his hand and stared at his palm, but there was nothing strange. That's strange. Why did the chair disappear? Could it be the effect of this swallowing the sky technique? He was surprised and happy. He originally thought that he would not be able to practice this cultivation method. He hurriedly used the trick of the transcending sky technique, and put his hand on the chair again. Whoosh, the chair disappeared. He could not believe it. This was really the effect of the swallowing the sky technique, but where did the chair go? There was no mention of it in the cultivation method. Whatever, as long as it was effective, it was fine. But if the chair was effective, would the other things be effective? He put his hand on other things. The cup, the towel, and the fruit all disappeared. He did not dare to continue the experiment. Can I make living things, such as people, disappear? If I am fighting with an enemy, I can make them disappear with a slap of my hand. That would be awesome. However, he could not test this out. He could not test it on a living person. The sky gradually brightened. Tang Zheng lay on the chair and fell asleep. The people on the bed gradually woke up and looked at each other. Sinosaurus asked, "Where are we?" "Damn, Larosai, you're awake?" "Second bro, you're awake too?" Wang Shiji also asked in bewilderment. Do Long was startled, and said, "Could it be that I am also unconscious?" "That's right, you and all 4 are both unconscious." "Hey, why am I wearing a hospital gown like you guys? Could it be that I'm also unconscious?" Wang Shiji stared straight at himself. "Damn, does that mean that everyone in our dormitory is unconscious? Where's Laro-san? Did he faint too? Hey, Isn't Laro-san lying on the chair? He really did faint. Ju Yang turned pale with fright. Suddenly, he saw the two people beside him. Hey, Guoshu, Wang Tong, why are you here too? Did you faint too? What's going on? Don't worry about anything else. Hurry up and wake Laro-san up. Sinosaurus turned over and got off the bed. He grabbed Tang Zheng's body and shook it. Laro-san, hurry up and wake up. Tang Zheng was in a deep sleep. He was suddenly shaken awake. He angrily said, Laro, what are you doing? Sinosaurus took a deep breath and said, Laro-san, you have to thank me for saving your life. If I didn't wake you up, you would have been in a coma forever. Tang Zheng rolled his eyes. He already understood what was going on. He snappily said, I just woke up from my sleep. You guys are all awake. That's great. Tang Zheng said that the method on the jade tablet worked. At this time, the nurse walked in. She screamed as if she had seen a ghost. She pointed at them and said, You guys. Why are you guys awake? Why can't we wake up? Do you want us to die? They snappily said. That's not what I meant. The nurse quickly explained. These people had been given a notice of critical illness. They were already on the verge of death. She didn't expect that they would be so lively after one night. I'll go call the doctor. Don't move around. The nurse quickly left, and after a while, the doctor came and questioned the 5 of them. In the end, even the school's leader came. Originally, they thought that the hair problem was extremely difficult, but unexpectedly, it was solved just like that. Everyone was overjoyed. In the end, they immediately informed their families that they didn't need to come to school. Some of their parents were even at the airport. They only returned when they heard the news. When they returned to school, Yi Dingdang came to Tang Zheng's side and quietly asked, Did you save them? Tang Zheng smiled but didn't say anything. Don't worry, I won't say anything. Your medical skills are really amazing. No wonder the King of Medicine is still thinking about you and wants to take you as his disciple. This time, he had indeed saved someone, but it had nothing to do with his medical skills. Of course, this matter could not be told to outsiders, so he did not want to say too much. The first class of the archaeology department had finally begun. 30 or so people were gathered in one place, and Tang Zheng even found Ding Xiaowan's figure in the crowd. She was Takashi's brainless fan. If she knew that he had already killed Takashi, she might hate him to death. After the day's class ended, Tang Zheng and his roommates were preparing to walk back to their dorms. Suddenly, Sinosaurus clicked his tongue and said with a wink, Pay attention, there's an enemy 30 meters ahead. Tang Zheng was shocked, he thought that there was some danger, and immediately raised his head to look. Damn, where did the enemy come from? It was clearly a woman. TSK, this woman is so beautiful. She must be a senior. Why don't we go up and strike up a conversation? Sinosaurus's saliva was about to drip all over the ground. Ju Yang agreed, it's indeed not bad. Her waist is thin, her legs are long, and her breasts are big. The key is that seductive smell that makes one's imagination run wild. Wang Shiji curled his lips and said, This woman is definitely not serious, she's wearing so little. This woman was indeed wearing very little. She was wearing a miniskirt and had a low chest. As she walked forward, her chest rose and fell like waves. Sinosaurus patted Wang Shiji's shoulder and said, Boss, you must be ignorant. This kind of woman is very tasty, especially on the bed. Wang Shiji rolled her eyes at him and said indifferently, You speak as if you've tried it before, you're not a virgin yet. Sinosaurus's scar was exposed, and he said with a red face, This is the experience of our predecessors, boss, I'm passing on my experience to you, how can you expose me? Stop messing around, look at her walking towards us. Ju Yang anxiously said. Chapter 313. Tang Zheng helplessly looked at the incomparably excited Do Long. His second brother was thinking too much this time. This woman was not an ordinary person, she was actually Yi Meiyu. Yi Meiyu walked over leisurely and stood in front of them. However, she stared straight at Tang Zheng and went straight to the point, Let's go eat together. Sinosaurus and the other two were dumbstruck, their jaws almost falling to the ground. Was there a mistake? This beauty was here to look for All-san again, and even took the initiative to invite him to a meal. All-san's luck with women was too strong. Tang Zheng asked without changing his expression, "What's the matter?" "You'll know when you get there." The corner of Yi Meiyu's mouth raised slightly, blooming with a charming smile. "I have something to do, so I can't go." Tang Zheng did not have a good impression of Yi Meiyu. Moreover, when she was with Chu Xiaofeng, he subconsciously did not want to have too much contact with her. Hearing him reject her without hesitation, a trace of astonishment flashed across Yi Meiyu's eyes. Facing her invitation, Tang Zheng actually rejected it. It was too unbelievable. Sinosaurus and the other two also felt that it was inconceivable. Ju Yang touched Tang Zheng's shoulder and said softly, "All three, how can you reject a beauty's invitation?" "All three, if you don't go, I'll go," Sinosaurus said excitedly. Wang Shiji rolled his eyes at him and said, "All two, don't interrupt. Infinity, she's here to look for all three, not you." Sinosaurus fought for justice. "If you don't even go with such a beauty's invitation, wouldn't that be a waste of heaven's gifts?" "All three, can I go in your place?" "You can ask her." Tang Zheng walked around Yi Meiyu and headed straight for the dormitory, leaving Yi Meiyu standing there dumbstruck. "Beauty, can I accompany you to eat?" Sinosaurus said with a bashful face. Yi Meiyu's heart moved, and she said, "If you persuade Tang Zheng to eat with me, then I will agree to it next time." Sinosaurus beamed with joy. "All right." Then, he quickly ran over and pulled Tang Zheng, "All three, for the sake of this bro's happiness, you must go eat this meal." Tang Zheng laughed bitterly. "All three, she's not your type." "Who said that?" "I think she's pretty good. Hurry up and eat with her, then I can have dinner with her next time." "All two, you're lustful." Ju Yang and Wang Shiji teased each other. "You guys are the ones who are blinded by lust. This is a beauty, so of course we have to give her face." "Old three, don't worry, we definitely won't tell Yi Ding Dang." Tang Zheng, Tang, Tang Zheng, Tang Zheng, Tang Zheng, Tang Zheng, Tang, Tang Zheng, Tang Zheng, Tang, Tang, Tang. Did Chu, 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 Tang Zheng, Tang Zheng Zheng, Tang Zheng of. Do Long was overjoyed. "Haha, this is still a good brother. Let's go." Yi Meiyu pointed to a sports car at the side, then directly sat on it, carrying Tang Zheng away, leaving behind Sinosaurus and the others who smacked their lips. "Damn, this is a rich second generation, a sports car and a beauty, this is too explosive. So you have no chance, all two." "Damn, what if there's a chance? A beautiful car and a beautiful woman, how explosive would that be?" Tang Zheng and Yi Meiyu did not go far, they stopped in front of a restaurant near the school. Yi Meiyu looked at the small restaurant in front of her and frowned. "Are we eating here?" "Yes, I think it's pretty good." Tang Zheng walked straight down, attracting the attention of many people. After all, such a flashy sports car appearing beside the school was still very eye-catching. Especially when Yi Meiyu got out of the car, it caused a burst of exclamations. Many people looked at Tang Zheng with eyes filled with envy and jealousy. Tang Zheng did not know Yi Meiyu's goal, so of course he would not follow her to the place she had designated. What if there was an ambush? Therefore, it was better to be careful. Tang Zheng walked straight into the restaurant, and Yi Meiyu followed him in with a displeased expression. It was obvious that she, the young miss of a rich family, had never been to such a place before. "Is the food here clean?" Yi Meiyu asked in a low voice. The waiter at the side immediately opened his eyes wide, but seeing that she had come down from the sports car, he did not dare to criticize her. "If you don't want to eat, you can leave. I'm hungry anyway." Tang Zheng pointed to the menu and ordered 2 dishes and a soup, telling the waiter to serve them as soon as possible. Yi Meiyu was restless, but she resisted the urge to leave. Seeing her like this, Tang Zheng felt that her intentions were not simple, and became vigilant. He went straight to the point and said, "If you have something to say, just say it." "Hee hee." Yi Meiyu chuckled. "How are you and Yi Ding Dang right now? This doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. Who do you think is more beautiful, me or Yi Ding Dang?" Yi Meiyu hooked her hair with her pinky and asked with a charming smile. To be honest, Yi Meiyu and Yi Ding Dang were 2 completely different kinds of beauty. Yi Meiyu was more charming, and Yi Dingdang was a valiant kind of beauty. Of course Dingdang is more beautiful. Tang Zheng did not have a good expression on her face, and said straightforwardly. Yi Meiyu choked, a strange look flashed across her eyes. How is that possible? That girl is too inexperienced. Only a man who truly understands women would know that I am more beautiful. Then it seems that I'm different from other men. Men are all the same. Tang Zheng, I'll get straight to the point with you. Kick Yi Dingdang, and then marry me. I'll guarantee you a high position and wealth. What? Tang Zheng thought that he had misheard. She actually wanted him to kick Yi Dingdang and marry her. This is the best for you. Yi Dingdang's father will not be able to inherit the position of the head of the Ye family in the future, and only my father has the qualifications. If you marry me, then you will be able to obtain the greatest benefits. Yi Meiyu said indifferently. Tang Zheng's jaw almost fell to the ground. Was this woman crazy? She actually came up with this idea. Didn't she always look down on Tang Zheng? Why did she want to marry him now? In the past, Yi Meiyu looked down on Tang Zheng, but that was because she did not know of Tang Zheng's strength. However, the things that happened in the Yang family of Mount Longxiang had already spread to the ears of many people, and Yi Meiyu was one of them. She never thought that the fellow she thought was useless would actually have a great stage master, and his own strength was not weak either. Her original plan to hook Chu Xiaofeng up had failed, so she urgently needed to find the next person. However, there were too few people in the capital to choose from, and Tang Zheng's sudden appearance made her eyes light up. Wasn't Tang Zheng the person she needed the most? She was unwilling to let such an outstanding person fall into the hands of Yi Dingdang. If Tang Zheng really married Yi Dingdang, then Yi Tianlei's position in the old man's heart would rise, and it would be unknown who would become the head of the family in the future. That was why she couldn't wait to find Tang Zheng. Of course, in her heart, Tang Zheng was still a person who wanted to climb up the social ladder, so she directly pointed out the benefits to him. She believed that he would definitely abandon Yi Dingdang and grovel under her pomegranate dress. Looking at Tang Zheng's surprised expression, she thought that he was flattered, so she said, as long as we join hands, we will definitely be able to obtain enough benefits in the future. This is a win-win situation. Moreover, I am so beautiful, I will definitely not let you suffer a loss. As he spoke, he threw a flirtatious glance at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng came back to his senses and had already guessed the other party's thoughts. He laughed disdainfully. Your plan is really amazing. Of course, what's so good about that girl Yi Dingdang? As long as my father takes over, I guarantee that his family will be chased out of the Ye family again. You're a smart person, you won't be able to get any benefits from following them. Yi Meiyu said complacently. Tang Zheng was about to reject her righteously when suddenly, his pupils constricted as he looked at the four people at the door in shock. They had also walked into the restaurant and arrived at a table beside Tang Zheng. It's you. Suddenly, a cry of alarm sounded. These were indeed old acquaintances. They were actually Ding Xiaowan, Meng Yaro, and Shen Kuan, who they had met on the train. The other person was the key to causing such a huge reaction from Tang Zheng. Takashi. No, to be precise, it was the demon god. He was actually together with these three people and was even talking and laughing. Why was the demon god with these three people? Could it be that he inherited the memories of Daoist Tianji's disciple and then ran back to school to study? Meng Yaro's exclamation caused the other three to look at Tang Zheng at the same time. Ding Xiaowan and Shen Kuan both revealed astonished expressions, their gazes sweeping across Yi Meiyu's face, and they all revealed stunned expressions. They thought to themselves, how could this brat be so lucky with women, to actually find such a hot beauty? The demon god's gaze swept across Tang Zheng's face, and then fixed on Yi Meiyu's face, a red light flashing in his eyes. Tang Zheng saw that the demon god's gaze did not linger on him for long, and could not help but heave a sigh of relief. This meant that he did not attract the other party's attention, which meant that even if the demon god inherited the memories, it would definitely not have any memories of him. After all, Takashi's body was indeed dead at that time, and the demon god must have inherited incomplete memories. Tang Zheng's worried heart finally settled back into his stomach, but then a bellyful of questions emerged. Why didn't he run away to hide and cultivate? Why did he come to school like him? Tang Zheng did not think that the demon god was here to learn, he definitely had some ulterior motive. "Why are you here?" Meng Yao asked arrogantly. Her memory of the guy she looked down on the train was still fresh, especially the scene of him being picked up by a luxury car. It was as if she had been possessed and was firmly fixed in her mind. Actually, this was a psychological distortion caused by a huge difference. She had always thought that Tang Zheng was a lousy guy, but when she suddenly found out that he was with a girl who was even more beautiful than her, she felt a strong sense of disgust. The one who felt the same as her was Shen Kuan. He had always looked down on Tang Zheng, and seeing that Tang Zheng was with different beauties twice, his eyes turned red with jealousy. This brat must be deliberately trying to trick a woman into liking him. We must expose his sinister face. Shen Kuan took a step forward and said righteously, "Tang Zheng, you are too despicable. Miss, don't believe him. This person is a liar who specializes in tricking girls into liking him." Chapter 314. Everyone looked at Tang Zheng with eyes full of disdain. So it turns out that he was just a pretty boy who lied. Tang Zheng was secretly furious. He and Shen Kuan actually did not have much to do with each other, yet he was slandering him like this. Before he could reply, Yi Meiyu had already stood up. "Who do you think you are? You don't have the right to speak here. Scram to the side." Yi Meiyu's temper exploded. Although she also saw Tang Zheng as someone who was trying to climb up the social ladder, she would not tolerate others saying such things. That was simply an insult to her. Shen Kuan was startled for a moment. He looked at this beauty who had flipped out in disbelief. "I'm doing this for your own good. Why are you still angry?" Shen Kuan's face turned the color of a pig's liver, and continued to persuade. "Miss, you misunderstood, I'm helping you." Yi Meiyu said in disdain, "Who do you think you are, to have the qualifications to help me?" Shen Kuan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Meng Yao pulled Shen Kuan and advised, "Don't lower yourself to the same level as these people. Dogs bite Lu Dongbin, they don't know how to appreciate good intentions. Who are you calling a dog? Do you believe that I won't let you see the sun tomorrow?" Yi Meiyu roared. The young Mrs. Temper was indeed not ordinary. "What, do you want to kill me?" Meng Yao retorted, unconvinced. Seeing that both sides were about to be dealt with, and that the demon god was still eyeing them covetously from the side, Tang Zheng did not want to be entangled, and immediately stood up and said, "Let's go." He put down the money and walked out of the restaurant. Yi Meiyu was startled for a moment. She glared at them fiercely, then quickly walked out and got into the sports car together. What kind of person is this? Seriously. Meng Yao curled her lips. Shen Kuan said in disdain, "Let's not lower ourselves to the same level as this kind of person." The demon god looked at Yi Meiyu's back as she disappeared behind the car door, deep in thought. Inside the car, Yi Meiyu was still panting with rage. "Who are these people? How dare they? Why didn't you take care of them? There's no need to pay attention to a clown." Yi Meiyu rolled her eyes and said, "Then let's go to another place to continue eating." "No need, I'm going back to my dorm to sleep." The corner of Yi Meiyu's mouth curled up as she placed her fair hand on Tang Zheng's thigh and said, "It's boring to go back to the dorm to sleep. I'll take you somewhere." This was blatant seduction. Of course, Tang Zheng knew what would happen after he went, but he really didn't want to have that kind of relationship with Yi Meiyu, so he straightforwardly refused. "It's impossible between you and me, please don't waste your time." "Why?" "No reason. Only by being with me will you be able to obtain the greatest benefits." Yi Meiyu said resolutely, "I don't need it. Stop the car in front. I want to get off." Tang Zheng's reaction was out of Yi Meiyu's expectations as she looked at him in disbelief. Seeing his resolute expression, her expression suddenly changed as she said, "Tang Zheng, I will make you regret this." "Do you regret it?" "Hihi, you don't have the ability." Tang Zheng got off the car, and Yi Meiyu looked at his back hatefully, and said, "I will definitely not let you succeed. Don't think that just because you have Yi Ding Dang as a high branch, you can rest easy." Tang Zheng did not return to school. This unexpected encounter with the demon god made him feel a strong sense of danger, and he had to raise his cultivation as soon as possible. He came to the imperial city once again and cultivated for an entire night before returning to school. He was prepared to understand the general curriculum for the next few days and then choose to listen to what he was interested in. When he walked into the classroom, Sinosaurus and the others immediately surrounded him and said, "All three, tell me honestly, where did you go with that beauty last night? You actually didn't return all night." "Yes, all three, you don't know how cold my heart is. Such a great beauty has also fallen into your demonic hands," Sinosaurus said with a bitter face. "Hee, all three, you don't know, all two almost didn't sleep last night. He kept thinking about what you and that beauty did." "I didn't do anything." "Then why didn't you return to the dorm?" "There's something I need to take care of outside," Tang Zheng said. The three of them obviously did not believe him and looked at him with a mischievous smile. "It's him." Suddenly, an angry voice came from behind. Tang Zheng turned his head to look, only to see Ding Xiaowan pointing at Tang Zheng with reddened eyes. Behind her were a few police officers with serious expressions. "What's going on?" Everyone was confused. The police walked towards Tang Zheng with large strides, their faces full of vigilance, and said sternly, "Student, come with us." "What are you doing?" Tang Zheng asked with a frown. Ding Xiaowan was on the verge of tears, and complained loudly, "Tang Zheng, stop pretending, you killed Meng Yaro and Shen Kuan, right?" "Kill?" The crowd suddenly burst into exclamations, and looked at Tang Zheng at the same time. "Hey, Ding Xiaowan, don't spout nonsense. How could our all three kill people?" Zhu Yang immediately stepped forward and retorted loudly. "Why doesn't he kill people? It's not like he hasn't killed anyone before." Ding Xiaowan recalled the legendary massacre that Tang Zheng had committed in a border town, and became even more furious. Tang Zheng had killed before. Hua! This news was too explosive. Everyone in the classroom immediately dispersed, hiding far away from Tang Zheng. Of course, the three members of 502 were an exception. The few policemen acted as if they were facing a great enemy. They did not know about this situation and immediately surrounded Tang Zheng. "Don't move. Come with us." As he spoke, he was about to come up and grab Tang Zheng. How could Tang Zheng give in? He easily pushed the few policemen away. The few policemen looked at each other in dismay, and believed Ding Xiaowan's words even more. Tang Zheng's anger soared. What the F***ck was going on? "Ding Xiaowan, don't slander me. I didn't kill Meng Yaro and Shen Kuan, be careful that I don't sue you for slander," Tang Zheng said while gnashing his teeth. "Yesterday, you quarreled with them and harbored a grudge in your heart. Moreover, the woman with you even said that they wouldn't be able to see the sun today. If it wasn't you, who else could it be?" It was no wonder that Ding Xiaowan was angry. Early in the morning, she received a call saying that her two best friends had been killed, and she subconsciously thought of the conflict yesterday. That was why when the police came to investigate, she directly brought them to Tang Zheng. "Mph, just based on this point, you want to determine that I'm the murderer? Ding Xiaowan, you're too arbitrary." "Right, we're all in the same class, we're all classmates." "Ding Xiaowan, you're not being nice enough," Sinosaurus echoed. "Stop arguing. No matter what the truth is, come with us to the police station for investigation first," the policeman said with a cold face. "This has nothing to do with me. Why should I be investigated? Don't talk so much nonsense. If you don't leave, you'll be resisting arrest. Your crime will be increased by 1, the policeman said sternly. As soon as he finished speaking, several policemen took out their pistols. "Ah!" Cries of alarm rose from the crowd. They had used their guns. This time, things had gotten out of hand. The people who were originally in the classroom ran out of the back door like a swarm of bees, watching from afar. If you dare to shoot, then you have to think of the consequences. And you, Ding Xiaowan, if anyone is injured because of you today, you will feel guilty for the rest of your life. Tang Zheng's face was gloomy to the extreme. A trace of hesitation flashed past Ding Xiaowan's eyes, but he instantly became resolute and said, "Tang Zheng, don't make it sound so nice, you must be responsible for their deaths. If you have the guts, then kill the 4 of us together. We believe that all 3 didn't kill anyone." Sinosaurus and the other 2 stepped forward at the same time and stood in front of Tang Zheng, blocking their line of sight. Zhu Yang whispered, "All 3, hurry up and leave." We'll block them. Tang Zheng was moved, and said, I won't leave, I want to see what kind of tricks they will play. If you say that I killed someone, then take out the evidence. Otherwise, don't even think about letting me go with you. Tang Zheng knew that there was no way for him to attend this class, so he simply walked towards the door in large strides. Don't move. The policeman raised his pistol and aimed it at Tang Zheng, otherwise, we'll shoot. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not hear anything, and walked straight towards the police. Bang! The sound of a gunshot rang out. The commotion within the campus was exceptionally loud, and everyone felt as if their hearts had been struck by a heavy blow. Tang Zheng was furious. These people really dared to shoot. He easily dodged the bullet hitting the wall, causing debris to fly everywhere. Su su su. A figure flashed, and before the few policemen could see it clearly, they realized that their guns were gone, while Tang Zheng had a few more guns in his hands. The few of them turned pale with fright. Knowing that they had met an expert, they hurriedly shouted, hurry up and call for help. Before the others could clearly see what Tang Zheng had done, they realized that he had already snatched the gun away, and all of them revealed expressions of disbelief. Even Ding Xiaowan's expression changed greatly, as he looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. She never thought that Tang Zheng would be so powerful. The few policemen looked at each other and retreated. They said with a fierce expression, don't move. If you dare to shoot, then it's an attack on the police. Tang Zheng said disdainfully, it's reasonable for you to shoot me, and for me to shoot you is a disgraceful attack on the police. Isn't this a little too unfair? As he spoke, he swept the muzzle of his gun across their bodies, scaring them to the point that their faces turned ashen. They wanted to escape, but they didn't dare to. After all, they couldn't run faster than bullets. This time, he had really lost a lot of face. Hurry up and put down the gun, you will be in a miserable state. Is that so? Didn't you call for help just now? I'll wait for a smart person to come before I say anything. A few of you, go to the corner and squat down. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows, showing off his might without being angry. The few of them felt a chill in their hearts as they felt a kind of fear from the bottom of their hearts. No, it was an impulse that made them want to submit, as if Tang Zheng was an unreachable mountain and they were ants at the foot of the mountain. However, they did not know that Tang Zheng had absorbed a lot of dragon qi, and with every move he made, there was a sense of majesty. Normally, he would not show it, but this time, under his rage, it gushed out like a volcano. Ding Xiaowan's face was already pale white, and the other students were even further away, as if Tang Zheng was a homicidal maniac. Tang Zheng chuckled, and did not explain further. He turned to the people behind him and said, you guys go out first, there will definitely be a large number of police officers coming over later. All three, this is too much. Zhu Yang said worriedly. Yes, you didn't kill anyone. Just explain it to them clearly. Wang Shiji advised. Tang Zheng had been to the police station once, and he did not want to go there a second time. How could he let these preconceived policemen take him away? Chapter 315. This time, the commotion was indeed huge. The teaching building had already been cleared out, leaving only a few people in the classroom. However, the outside of the teaching building was already surrounded by students. It was a major case involving a gun, and it was a murder case. These students' excited cells were all activated as they craned their necks to look at the teaching building. A vice principal had already rushed to the scene. His face was ashen as he hesitated in front of the teaching building. This was a gun case, bullets did not have eyes, what if he went up and ate a bullet? However, he could not just wait like this. He could only brace himself and walk into the teaching building. When he arrived at the door of the classroom and looked inside, he was so scared that his legs went weak. He saw a few pistols on the desk beside Tang Zheng, while he sat calmly on the desk, without the slightest trace of fear. On the other hand, the few policemen opposite him were squatting in a corner in a sorry state. The police were captured by the students. The vice principal felt a headache coming on. This was the first time such a thing had happened in the 100 years since the school was founded. In addition, Sinosaurus and the other two whispered to Tang Zheng, as if they were discussing countermeasures, while Ding Xiaowan stood beside the police, glaring at Tang Zheng indignantly, as if she wanted to skin him alive. The people inside, listen up. Put down your weapons, quickly come out, and cooperate with the police investigation. The vice principal mustered up his courage and roared. Everyone in the classroom looked towards the door at the same time. Tang Zheng chuckled, but did not comment. Seeing that, Sinosaurus and the others quickly advised, "The school leaders are here, what should we do?" Salad. Tang Zheng spread out his hands. "The school leaders can't make the decision, we'll wait for the police to make the decision." "Wouldn't that be more troublesome?" Wang Shiji said worriedly. Tang Zheng laughed but did not say anything. Ju Yang's heart moved. He patted Wang Shiji's shoulder and said, "Boss, don't worry, I see that Laro-san is full of confidence, so let's wait a little longer and see what kind of tricks they can play. If they dare to slander others, I guarantee that they won't be able to bear the consequences." Tang Zheng looked at Ju Yang with interest, while Sinosaurus patted his chest and said passionately, "Laro-san, don't worry, we'll guarantee you." When the vice principal heard this, his face turned green and white. These students had really overturned the heavens. They actually dared to be so arrogant in front of him, and did not even buy his account. Ding Xiaowan looked at the few of them who were acting without restraint, and said angrily, "Teacher, Tang Zheng killed my friends, you must uphold justice for them." The vice principal looked at Ding Xiaowan snappily. He had not informed the school about this matter at all, and had caught the school off guard. As a result, the vice principal did not have much of a good impression of Ding Xiaowan, and only stared at Tang Zheng and the others, saying, "Hurry up and let him go, what's the meaning of this?" Tang Zheng did not say anything, and casually picked up the pistol. Seeing that, the vice principal screamed in fright, and immediately retreated to the side, shouting, "Don't be stubborn, quickly put down the gun and follow the police, or else in the end, you will be the one to harm yourself." Ju Yang could not bear to watch any longer, and said loudly, "Tang Zheng was framed by them, if he were to follow them, wouldn't he be like a sheep entering a tiger's den? Mph, do you want to go against the police? There won't be a good ending." Tang Zheng played with the pistol, and said indifferently, "I don't want to go against anyone, but if anyone wants to frame me, they will definitely regret it." As he said that, he looked deeply at Ding Xiaowan. Ding Xiaowan felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and felt the cold enter his body. "Come out first and explain what's going on. The police won't wrong you." The vice principal continued to roar. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, "Let's wait a little longer, it won't be too late to wait for the police leaders to arrive." The vice principal was so anxious that his forehead was sweating profusely. If this matter was not resolved quickly, it would definitely cause a huge uproar, and the school's reputation would also be damaged. Thus, his face darkened. "Do you want to be expelled? Haha, are you in such a hurry to get rid of your relationship?" Tang Zheng said in disdain. The vice principal was at his wits' end. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps could be heard. A few security guards chased after a person and shouted, "Student, you can't go in." A figure suddenly arrived and stood at the entrance of the classroom. He pounced towards Tang Zheng and shouted, "Tang Zheng, what happened to you? Are you hurt?" This person was of course Yi Dingdang. "Why are you here?" Tang Zheng asked curiously. Seeing that Tang Zheng was safe and sound, Yi Dingdang could not help but heave a sigh of relief. He glanced at the policeman squatting in the corner and said, "I heard that someone framed you for murder." Ding Xiaowan reprimanded loudly, "It's not a false accusation at all, it's the truth." Yi Dingdang swept his cold brows and said, "Humph, the truth? Ridiculous, how could Tang Zheng kill someone?" Yi Dingdang understood Tang Zheng very well. He was not someone who would willfully kill the innocent, there must be a misunderstanding. Seeing that Ding Xiaowan insisted that Tang Zheng had killed someone, she naturally did not have a good expression on her face. The vice principal was well aware of Yi Dingdang's background, and looked at her in astonishment as she asked Tang Zheng about his well-being. His heart moved, and he immediately asked, "Student Yi Dingdang, do you know Tang Zheng?" "Of course, I guarantee that Tang Zheng did not kill anyone. Someone is framing him." Yi Dingdang said resolutely with a cold face, and even glared at Ding Xiaowan with a deep meaning. Ding Xiaowan flew into a rage. "Are you saying that I framed him? Nonsense, my friend had a conflict with him yesterday and died today. Other than him, who else would do such a crazy thing?" Don't think that I don't know what he did during the military training. This is not the first time he has killed someone. The vice principal was shocked when he heard this. He did not know what happened during the military training because those things were kept secret. He revealed half of his head in fear and looked at Tang Zheng from afar with incomparable fear. However, seeing that Yi Dingdang was so protective of Tang Zheng, the vice principal had already turned around. Regardless of whether Tang Zheng was the murderer or not, since the Ye family was protecting him, then he would definitely be safe and sound. Didn't that mean that the school's reputation could be saved? The vice principal seemed to have awoken from a dream. That's right, he had to get rid of the responsibility of the students in order to protect the school's reputation. As a result, his attitude instantly changed 180 degrees, and he stared at Ding Xiaowan and said, "This student, this matter has not been investigated clearly, so you cannot make such an arbitrary judgment." Ding Xiaowan was startled. She did not know why his attitude had suddenly changed so drastically, and she stared at him blankly. When they saw the change in the vice principal's attitude, they all looked at Yi Dingdang in shock. Just what kind of background did this student have to actually make the school's attitude change so quickly? However, the police had suffered a huge loss at the hands of Tang Zheng. Even if the school's attitude had changed, they did not plan to let it go so easily. One of them immediately retorted, "But he attacked the police. This is a matter of conclusive evidence." Yi Dingdang did not care at all, and retorted, "If you did not frame him, why would he resist? H, you even dare to use a gun on him, who gave you the right?" The sound of footsteps suddenly came out. The police reinforcements had arrived. In a moment, a large group of armed police rushed in from the corridor, all of them aiming their guns at Tang Zheng. "Put down the gun, put your hands on your head, and come out." Sinosaurus and the other two turned pale as they looked at Tang Zheng worriedly. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it, and Yi Dingdang even jumped in front of Tang Zheng to block him. She opened her arms like an eagle protecting its cub, and said fearlessly, "If you want to capture Tang Zheng, you have to kill me first, otherwise, no one will be able to take him away." Yi Dingdang's reaction was unexpected. No one thought that she would risk her life to protect Tang Zheng. Everyone looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze. What kind of magic did he have? The vice principal was shocked. What kind of status did Yi Dingdang have? If something were to happen to her in school, the consequences would be unimaginable. Who knows how many people would lose their jobs? Thus, he immediately stopped them. "You are not allowed to fire." The vice president was afraid of Tang Zheng, but he was not afraid of the police, because the police did not dare to do anything to him. With the vice president's obstruction, although Tang Zheng was in front of them, the police did not dare to act rashly. This time, the leader was a deputy director. He strode over, looked at the scene in the classroom, and said sternly, "If you continue to be stubborn, the police will shoot." "Why don't you try to shoot?" Yi Dingdang said through gritted teeth. Tang Zheng patted Yi Dingdang's shoulder, walked past her, and faced the muzzle of the gun and said, "I'm standing right here, if you have the guts, shoot." The deputy director was shocked. He had seen many desperados, but he had never seen such a person. The vice president was so anxious that he broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly whispered in the deputy director's ear, "You must not shoot. This is a misunderstanding, especially that girl. You must not hurt her, or things will get out of hand." The deputy director was stunned for a moment and asked, "Who is she?" "She is from the Ye family." "Ye family?" The deputy director's face turned pale. If the capital dared to be called the Ye family, then it was naturally one of the 4 great families. If he had a grudge with someone from such a large family, his career would probably come to an end. There must be a misunderstanding. Don't be impatient. Let's understand the whole story first. The vice president advised. The deputy director also understood the stakes and said, "Then ask him to let them go first. Our people are being held like this, so it's not a good idea." This was really a great loss of face for the police. Several police officers came to arrest a student, but they were arrested instead. If word got out, they would be laughed at to death. The vice president nodded and said, "Student Tang Zheng, don't be impulsive. Since you say that this is a misunderstanding, then let's sit down and talk. Let these police officers go first." Seeing the other party whispering, and the vice president was sure that he knew Yi Dingdang's identity, they could not play any tricks, so he nodded and said, "Take them away. Next time, if you want to arrest someone, you have to investigate clearly." The few policemen who were squatting in the corner felt as if they had been pardoned and were quickly brought out by their peers. Ding Xiaowan looked at this series of changes in astonishment, and said angrily, "My friend was killed by Tang Zheng, how can you do this? Don't speak nonsense." The vice president berated loudly. Tang Zheng had long since known that Ding Xiaowan did not like him, so he jokingly said, "Ding Xiaowan, you keep saying that I killed someone, but do you have any evidence?" The police will find evidence." Before the deputy director came, he had already known about the case and understood that Tang Zheng was only a little suspicious, but there was no conclusive evidence to prove that he was related to the murder case. Since this matter involved the Ye family, then he did not dare to rashly make a judgment. "This matter has not been investigated clearly yet. Student, since you say that it has nothing to do with you, then let's sit down and talk about it clearly." Yi Dingdang asked in a low voice, "Tang Zheng, what do you think we should do?" Tang Zheng muttered to himself for a moment, then said, "All right, then let's make things clear." The transcript was very simple, mainly asking about the conflict between the two sides yesterday and where Tang Zheng went last night, because Tang Zheng did not spend the night in the dormitory. "Where did you go last night?" Tang Zheng had been cultivating in the imperial city for the entire night, so it was impossible for him to tell the truth. Thus, he said, "I stayed outside for the entire night." "Where did you stay? Are there any witnesses?" "Of course not," Tang Zheng said. But before he could speak, Yi Dingdang had already spoken first. "He was with me last night, I can prove it." "What? Last night, the two of them were together? Didn't that mean that the two of them had already done that?" Everyone stared dumbfoundedly at Tang Zheng. This brat was simply too lucky. He actually spent a good night with such a beauty. Chapter 316. Tang Zheng looked at Yi Dingdang in surprise. Yi Dingdang winked at him, and Tang Zheng understood. She was helping him eliminate the suspicion, but such a sacrifice was too great. Seeing that, the deputy bureau chief heaved a sigh of relief. Since there was a member of the Ye family as a witness, then it would be much easier to handle. The deputy bureau chief gave his subordinates a look, and the policemen all retreated. "Student Tang Zheng, I am truly sorry about this matter. It was our lack of consideration that caused you trouble. Please forgive us," the deputy bureau chief said sincerely, but did not mention the matter of attacking the police. Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang looked at each other. Since the other party wanted to keep the peace, then they would give the other party a way out. "All right, then I won't pursue this matter. However, I hope that you won't listen to one side of the story in the future. Otherwise, you will kill someone," Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. The deputy bureau chief smiled embarrassedly. "Yes, thank you for your reminder, student Tang Zheng." Seeing that the other party had easily resolved this crisis, Ding Xiaowan said angrily, "How can you be like this? Did my friend die for nothing?" The deputy bureau chief's face darkened as he said, "We will investigate this matter. We don't need you to tell us what to do." Then, he quickly went downstairs. The vice principal also heaved a sigh of relief and comforted him with a few words. Then, he went downstairs to explain to the surrounding students that this was all a misunderstanding. Only Ding Xiaowan's eyes were red, and she was about to cry. "Tang Zheng, I don't know what method you used, but my friend is dead. I will definitely not let the murderer get away scot-free." In the past, Tang Zheng did not have much of a good or bad impression of Ding Xiaowan, but this time, she firmly believed that he was the murderer, which made him very indignant. He snorted coldly and did not comment. The few of them walked out of the classroom, leaving Ding Xiaowan standing there alone in a daze. After the few of them left the teaching building, Sinosaurus finally could not hold it in and said indignantly, "This matter is too dangerous. How can you accuse me like this?" Wang Shiji said with lingering fear, "It's fine as long as third brother is fine." Zhu Yang looked at Yi Dingdang thoughtfully. Sinosaurus and Wang Shiji did not realize that the situation had taken a turn for the worse after Yi Dingdang had arrived. However, the meticulous Zhu Yang had discovered this clue, which meant that Yi Dingdang's identity was not ordinary. Tang Zheng, come here. I have something to ask you, Yi Dingdang said. Hihi, you guys take your time chatting. We'll be leaving first. Sinosaurus and the other two waved their hands and quickly left. Yi Dingdang asked in a deep voice, you just said that Yi Meiyu came to look for you yesterday? Yes. What is she doing? She asked me to leave you and be with her. What? Despicable and shameless. You actually dare to poach my woman? Don't believe her words, this person is too despicable. Tang Zheng smiled faintly, I have nothing to do with her. Oh right, can you help me investigate what happened to the two people who died? Tang Zheng felt that there was something fishy going on with the two of them dying all of a sudden and implicating him. Yi Dingdang's eyes lit up. What do you suspect? Tang Zheng shook his head, he could not tell the reason. Wait a moment, I'll call and check right away. After a while, Yi Dingdang said in disbelief, the situation of the two deceased is very strange. All the blood in their bodies has disappeared. What? Tang Zheng's pupils constricted. This is very strange. It said that their blood seemed to have been sucked dry by something. Yi Dingdang asked suspiciously, how could such a thing happen? Tang Zheng muttered to himself, there was nothing impossible about this kind of thing. He had seen a cultivation technique from the jade tablet, which was to absorb blood to increase one's cultivation. This was the cultivation technique of the demon clan. It was extremely vicious, meaning that this was done by the demon clan, and the only demon clan that Tang Zheng knew of in the capital was the demon god, who was currently parasitizing Takashi's body. Yesterday, the demon god was with Meng Yarrow and Shen Kuan. Could it be that this was done by the demon god? Tang Zheng pondered. Tang Zheng, what are you thinking about? Yi Dingdang looked at him in surprise and asked. Nothing, you can go back to class. Is it really nothing? It's really nothing. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving first. Be careful during this period of time. Don't worry, I'm so powerful, who would dare to cause trouble for me? Yi Dingdang said confidently. Tang Zheng laughed, but did not comment, and quickly disappeared. He wanted to find the demon god, and this matter had to be investigated thoroughly. If the demon god wanted to recover his strength, he would definitely absorb human blood, so there would still be people dying. He had to be stopped. Tang Zheng searched the campus for a long time before he found traces of the demon god, but beside him was actually Ding Xiaowan. Ding Xiaowan was crying non-stop in his embrace, and said bitterly, Tang Zheng is not human, he actually killed the two of them. Who exactly is Tang Zheng? Is he very powerful? The demon god asked. He's a homicidal maniac. He killed many terrorists during the last military training. Terrorist? A cold light flashed through the demon god's eyes. Don't you remember? Ding Xiaowan looked at him curiously. The demon god smiled embarrassedly and said, of course I remember. His heart skipped a beat. Since this person was so powerful, then it was very likely that he was a martial artist. All martial artists deserve to die, and since I need human blood to recover my strength, then I'll start with him first. Shen Kuan and Meng Yarrow were indeed killed by the demon god. Ding Xiaowan was lying in the arms of the murderer, but he was completely unaware of it. The demon god looked at Ding Xiaowan, who was in his embrace, and thought, last night, I absorbed human blood, and my power has recovered quite a bit. Today, I will suck this girl's blood dry, and then go find that Tang Zheng. My power will definitely increase greatly, and then I will kill all these damned martial artists in the capital one by one. As night fell, the demon god and Ding Xiaowan did not return to their dormitory, but instead walked out of the school. Tang Zheng followed the two of them from afar, thinking to himself, could it be that the demon god's target this time was Ding Xiaowan? Takashi, where are we going? Ding Xiaowan asked curiously. I'm not in a good mood. I'll take you to a place. The night scenery there is very beautiful. Once you see it, your mood will definitely be much better. The demon god said. Ding Xiaowan's heart warmed as she subconsciously held onto the demon god's hand. Her heart was beating wildly like a little deer as she said sweetly, thank you, Dazhi. The demon god smiled but did not say anything. After a while, the two of them arrived at a remote alley. Ding Xiaowan looked around and asked, What kind of beautiful scenery is this? You'll know when you get there. The demon god pretended to be mysterious. Ding Xiaowan's heart was filled with anticipation, but he did not notice the ferocity in the demon god's eyes. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. Ding Xiaowan asked blankly, "Have we arrived?" "We're here." The demon god turned around and stared straight at Ding Xiaowan. Ding Xiaowan shyly lowered her head and said, "Don't look at me like that." "Hey, if I don't look at you like this, how can I look at you? I'll be embarrassed." Ding Xiaowan was a girl who had just experienced her first awakening of love. She already had a good impression of Takashi, and in such an ambiguous environment, she was looking forward to it, but was also at a loss. The demon god laughed coldly. He bent down and attacked her neck. When his lips touched Ding Xiaowan's skin, she shivered and said, "Dazhi, don't be like this, we are progressing too quickly." Her heart was about to jump out of her throat. She was both looking forward to it and a little afraid. However, the god-fiend did not care at all. He opened his teeth and bit down. "Ah!" Ding Xiaowan screamed in pain, his eyes wide open, and shouted, "Dazhi, what are you doing? You bit me, it hurts." The demonic god turned a deaf ear to her words and began to circulate his heart sutra. A large amount of blood was drawn out of her body. She finally realized the danger she was in. She pushed the demonic god with both hands, but she could not move him at all. "What are you doing?" Takashi, stop." Ding Xiaowan felt her entire body turn cold. She had already discovered the red light in the demonic god's eyes, and turned pale with fright. "You are not Takashi. Who are you? Quickly stop." "Hihi, haven't you always been worried about your friends? I'll let you accompany them." The demon god sneered. Ding Xiaowan felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. The cold air rushed from the soles of his feet to the top of his head, and he shouted in fear, "You killed Meng Yaro and Shen Kuan? Why did you kill them? Haha, it's such a pity to waste such delicious blood. You should feel proud, because in the future, the demon clan will have a part to play in taking over this world." Demon clan? Ding Xiaowan was shocked, but her consciousness was already blurry, and her round eyes slowly closed. Suddenly, a figure appeared in her pupils, and this figure quickly expanded, arriving in front of her in an instant. This was the last impression in her mind, and then she completely fell unconscious. Whiz! A piercing sound came from afar, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of the demon god. A pitch-black sword light merged with the night sky and slashed towards the demon god. The demon god quickly let go of Ding Xiaowan, turned around and waved his hand. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere, but he took half a step back. The figure retreated 3 steps back and looked at the demon god from afar. "It's you." The demon god recognized the other party at a glance. "Wasn't this the guy who ruined his plans in the valley? There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to walk it. There's no door to hell, but you want to barge in. I've been looking for you all this time. Today is the day you die." The demon god hated this person to the bone. If it wasn't for him, his body wouldn't have been destroyed, and he wouldn't have ended up in such a state. This person was obviously Tang Zheng, but he had already used an illusion technique to change his appearance into the appearance he had when he was in the valley, so the demon god recognized him with a single glance. Seeing that Ding Xiaowan was about to be sucked dry of blood and die, he could not help but make a move. Although Ding Xiaowan had wronged him, he did not deserve to die. However, his elusive sword attack was actually blocked by the demon god. It seemed that the demon god had indeed recovered quite a bit of his strength. "Demon god, instead of hiding obediently, you came out to harm others. I think you are courting death. Aren't you afraid of attracting the attention of the people from the martial sect by acting so recklessly? At that time, countless martial experts will chase after you and you will have nowhere to go." "Martial sect? What's that?" the demon god said in disdain. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that the martial sect was definitely an organization formed after the cultivators were expelled, so the demon god did not know about it, and even more so, did not know that the martial sect was constantly hunting cultivators. Otherwise, he would not have acted so crazily. This was simply a signal to the martial sect, attracting them to the capital. Tang Zheng did not want the people from the martial sect to come to the capital, as that would put him in danger. Chapter 317. The Martial Organization is an organization that specializes in hunting and killing cultivators. You unscrupulously attracted them here. You are simply making your enemies happy. Tang Zheng said coldly. You're saying that there is a martial organization in this world that specializes in killing cultivators? Yes, the woman you saw last time is from the martial organization. Then why are you still helping her? I'm not helping her. I just don't want you demons to come to this world. Haha, then you won't get what you want. I'll kill you today and then find that bullshit martial organization. Daring to hunt cultivators, I'll make this organization disappear from this world. The demon god said with killing intent. Seeing that he was not afraid of the martial organization, it was because he did not understand them. Since the martial organization could make those big families so afraid, it was impossible for them to be an embroidered pillow with extraordinary strength. Although Tang Zheng could not see through the demon god's cultivation level, he knew that he might not succeed in fighting against the martial organization. Little brat, don't worry. No matter how great the martial organization is, we demons will come to this world soon. When that time comes, the entire world will be ours. What's the point of going after the martial organization? The demon god said with disdain. I won't let you get away with it. Don't even think about stopping me. Don't even think about stopping the demons. After saying that, the demon god attacked Tang Zheng. Whoosh! A red light fell from the sky and slashed towards Tang Zheng. Wind rising, clouds surging, Tang Zheng silently used the flying immortals from outer heaven sword technique. A strong wind blew and a sword light soared into the sky, colliding with the red light. Tang Zheng felt a huge force pass through his arm, causing it to go numb. However, he did not retreat and instead faced it head-on. Sword breaking 1,000 katis. The powerful sword ruthlessly struck the red light, causing it to fly in all directions and retreat a distance. The demon god's pupils shrunk as he said in surprise, Yi, flying immortals from outer heaven sword technique. What's your relationship with Kinxuman? Kinxuman? Tang Zheng's head twitched. Wasn't this Tian Chan's sect? This demon god obviously wasn't a fake. He had good eyes and recognized this sword technique at a glance. How could Kinxuman have a successor in this world? Could it be that Kinxuman also had a backup plan? The demon god asked in surprise. Humph, Kinxuman wants to compete with the devil race? Wishful thinking. Brat, since you have Kinxuman behind you, I will kill you even more. I won't let you have the chance to bring those righteous cultivators into this world. The demon god roared, and a bloody light spread out from his body. The small alley was immediately filled with the smell of blood. Haha, if I absorb all of your blood, I will definitely be able to recover a portion of my strength. Kid, hand over your life. Whoosh. A ray of blood light pierced through the withered blood. It was the weapon that was forced back by the War Soul Sword. I'll let you have a taste of the power of my blood blade. Your yellow rank magic treasure is simply unable to withstand a single blow from my blood blade. Blood blade? Tang Zheng's head moved. He had already seen clearly that this was an earth rank magic treasure, which was 2 levels higher than his War Soul Sword. This was the first time Tang Zheng had seen an earth rank magic treasure, so he could completely guess how powerful it was. This blood blade was only 3 inches long, like a dagger, but its entire body was suffused with a bloody light, which was incomparably strange. Whiz! Suddenly, the blood blade cut through the night sky and attacked Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng immediately used his sword to block. He had already completely comprehended the first and second moves of the flying immortals beyond heaven sword technique, and used them smoothly like flowing water. Rays of sword light flew around his body, like a sturdy fortress, causing the blood blade to have no place to attack. It's a pity that you haven't completely learned the flying immortals beyond heaven sword technique. You only know these 2 moves. If I want to kill you, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. The demon god roared and stepped forward, grabbing the blood blade. Suddenly, the blood blade shone with a red light, and the demon god stabbed forward. Puff! The air was sliced apart, and even the impenetrable sword light fortress around Tang Zheng was instantly pierced through, and the blood blade directly slashed towards his neck. Tang Zheng did not panic in the slightest. Seeing the blood blade in front of him, he retreated backwards while waving his hand. The dragon-trapped rope flew out from the Sumeru bag, and like a nimble poisonous snake, it quickly coiled around the demon god's body. Dragon-trapped rope? You want to trap me with just this? The demon god said in disdain. Tang Zheng sneered, of course I don't expect the dragon-trapped rope to be able to bind you, I still have a backup plan. Tang Zheng quickly retreated, increasing the distance between them. The dragon-trapped rope finally played its role, instantly binding the demon god like a dumpling, stopping his fierce attacks. The blood blade in the demon god's hand slashed backwards, leaving a deep mark on the dragon-trapped rope. It seemed that with another slash, the dragon-trapped rope would break. Tang Zheng could not care less about the dragon-trapped rope, because he already had the heaven-shocking bow in his hands, which was the ultimate killing weapon. Wang. The bowstring vibrated. The demon god was extremely familiar with this sound. His divine soul had been directly shattered by the heaven-shocking bow. An invisible arrow shot towards the demon god, who anxiously waved his blood blade forward. Bang! The bloodlight on the surface of the blood blade jumped a few times, and finally blocked the heaven-shocking bow. Brat, what kind of divine bow is this? The demon god was rather fearful of the heaven-shocking bow. After tasting the heaven-shocking bow once again, he was both shocked and angry. With the heaven-shocking bow in hand, it was impossible for him to truly kill Tang Zheng in his current state. He was not sure about this before, but after taking the attack just now, he understood this point. He was angry and unresigned. "Mph, you don't have the qualifications to know its name." Tang Zheng snorted and pulled the bowstring again. Wang, another arrow flew over. Bang! The blood blade blocked the attack once again, but it was not over yet. Tang Zheng quickly pulled the bowstring, and shot out 3 arrows in succession. 3 sharp auras formed a triangle shape, and arrived in front of the demon god in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the dragon-trapped rope shrunk violently, causing the demon god to frown. With a groan, the blood blade slashed at the dragon-trapped rope again. Crack! The dragon-trapped rope broke into 2 and quickly fell from his body. Tang Zheng was furious, his heart ached. The dragon-trapped rope was actually destroyed just like that. The demon god regained his freedom, his blood blade danced in the air, and with a bang, he blocked the 3 invisible arrows one after another. However, every time he blocked an arrow, he retreated 3 steps, and in the end, he actually retreated 9 steps, showing the power of the 3 arrows. Just at this time, Tang Zheng once again pulled the bowstring. The demon god's face turned ashen as he pondered, this brat's divine bow is too powerful. Unless I completely recover my strength, it will not be easy to kill him. Damn it, how could he have such a divine bow? Seeing Tang Zheng pulling the bowstring again, the demon god quickly retreated and shouted, "Brat, I will come and find you again. Not long from now, it will be the time of your death." Tang Zheng knew in his heart that the other party was definitely going to escape, but he had no way of stopping them. Although the heaven-shocking bow's power was extraordinary, every time he pulled the bowstring, a portion of his power would be quickly consumed. These few arrows had already consumed half of his power. If the demon god continued to persevere, then in the end, Tang Zheng would be in danger. However, the demon god obviously did not know about this, and when he saw the power of the heaven-shocking bow again, he was prepared to escape. "Mph, didn't you say that you wanted to kill me? Why do you only know how to run away now?" Tang Zheng mocked in an imposing manner. "Brat, don't be arrogant. When my power fully recovers, it will be the time of your death." The air around the demon god trembled, the blood mist churned, and in an instant, it blocked his figure. Tang Zheng could not even aim at him anymore, he only heard the sound of a strong wind blowing backwards. He knew that the demon god must have escaped. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief and immediately picked up the dragon-trapped rope. He did not know if it could be repaired in the future, but his gaze landed on Ding Xiaowan, who was unconscious in the corner. Ding Xiaowan was not dead, she was only unconscious. However, she had lost a lot of blood, so she would not be able to wake up for a while. Tang Zheng did not leave her here alone. Instead, he brought her to the nearest hospital and placed her at the door. Then, He hid far away and only left when the doctor discovered her and brought her into the hospital. At this moment, his mood was not stable. These 2 consecutive murders would most likely attract the attention of the martial sect. At that time, the situation in the capital would become more and more complicated. His expectations were not wrong. The strange murder case in the capital had indeed aroused the suspicions of some people, but it was not without a trace. It was the Li Palace that had the richest information in the world. When the sun rose, the holy maiden of Li Palace, Li Xiaotian, had information related to the murder case placed in front of her. She frowned as she stared at the information, and muttered to herself, "The blood has been sucked dry, this is definitely not something that an ordinary person can do. Could it be that this is what cultivators call, hehe, the martial sect will definitely be interested in this information. Holy maiden, someone from the martial sect has come to visit." Suddenly, a woman walked in and reported, "Speak of the devil, and the devil is here. I wonder what the martial sect wants to do. Who did they send over? Martial. Oh, martial arts. This martial arts genius." The corner of Li Xiaotian's mouth hooked up, revealing a meaningful smile. A scarred mistress often says that Wu is a martial arts genius that only appears once in 100 years. His talent is even above mine, and I have never had the chance to meet him. This time, I want to take a good look at how powerful he is. Li Xiaotian had not even taken a few steps when another woman quickly walked over and said respectfully, "Holy maiden, the capital's Yang family Yang Qingyi has come to visit." Li Xiaotian was startled for a moment, then said, "Yang Qingyi? That legendary woman who was said to be extremely intelligent. Hehe, how interesting. Today, everyone is gathered together. A martial arts genius, a smart woman, it seems to be getting more and more exciting. Bring them to the living room. I want to see the 2 of them at the same time." Li Xiaotian instructed, then walked towards the living room. A scarred mistress is in closed-door cultivation, and I am in charge of the Li Palace, making it so that I can't even find Tang Zheng to ask for the heaven-shocking bow. It's really infuriating. Staying in the Li Palace all day is so boring that I'm going to get sick. Fortunately, these 2 people came to relieve my boredom. I hope that things can become a little more exciting. Li Xiaotian walked with small steps to the living room, only to see Wu and Yang Qingyi sitting on their respective chairs, Wu closing his eyes to rest, while Yang Qingyi looked at each other thoughtfully. Suddenly, Marshall opened his eyes and looked in the direction of Li Xiaotian. Chapter 318. Yang Qingyi also raised her head to look. The eyes of the 3 women flashed with a bright light, because they were all too beautiful, adding a touch of brilliance to the room. "What brings the 2 of you to the Li Palace?" Li Xiaotian did not stand on ceremony with the other party, sitting in the main seat, and asked straightforwardly. Yang Qingyi and Marshall looked at each other at the same time. Yang Qingyi gestured with her hand, "You first." She did not know the identity of the other party, but it was clear that they were not ordinary people. Marshall also did not stand on ceremony, and asked, "Does your Li Palace know what happened in the valley to the west?" Li Xiaotian faintly smiled. The other party actually came for that matter, so he nodded. "Of course we know, such a big matter, how could my Li Palace not know about it?" "It's good that you know. Then do you know the whereabouts of the demon god?" Marshall said that the Li Palace was indeed worthy of its reputation. In this world there were very few people who knew about the valley, but he did not expect the Li Palace to also know about it. Li Xiaotian raised his eyebrows, subconsciously thinking about the murder case he saw just now. Could it be that it was done by the demon god? There are a few clues. There are clues. Marshall was shocked. She did not expect the other party to have clues. The martial sect had sent people to investigate for so long, but to no avail. The Li Palace's ability to gather information was indeed unparalleled in the world. "Naturally, you came for this matter?" Li Xiaotian asked. Marshall nodded, and said with a murderous look, "I need to know the whereabouts of the demon god. This kind of cultivator must be eliminated." Cultivator? Yang Qingyi's heart skipped a beat. Although she was not a warrior, she knew a lot about the world, especially about cultivators. It was just that she had never seen them before, so she couldn't help but be curious. Li Xiaotian smiled and said, "If you want to know information, then you must exchange information of equal value. This is the rule of the Li Palace. Marshall was already prepared. Like magic, an envelope appeared in her hand, and with a casual throw, the envelope flew like a hidden weapon towards Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian stretched out his hand to take the letter, opened it and took a look, then said, "I didn't expect your martial organization to have such information." Obviously, Li Xiaotian was very satisfied with this information. In truth, the Li Palace had many methods to gather information, but one of the most praiseworthy methods was that it did not sell information, but rather exchanged information for equal value. Thus, the Li Palace was able to gather more and more information. "Can you tell me now?" "Of course. Wait a moment, I'll send someone to get it." Li Xiaotian gestured to one of his subordinates, who immediately turned and left. Li Xiaotian's gaze then turned to Yang Qingyi and said, "Yang Qingyi, what business does the Yang family have with you?" Yang Qingyi nodded in greeting to Li Xiaotian and said neither too quickly nor too slowly, "My father asked me to send his regards to the palace master." Li Xiaotian nodded his head lightly. "Thank you, Yang family patriarch. A scarred master is currently in closed-door cultivation. I appreciate your kindness. This is the main reason why I'm here." "Who exactly is the mysterious expert that appeared at my father's birthday banquet?" Yang Qingyi asked. Li Xiaotian's brows immediately furrowed. Yang Qingyi and Wu both felt surprised at the same time. Judging from Li Xiaotian's expression, it seemed that the Li Palace was also rather puzzled about this matter. Wu could not help but be curious. When she heard that the other party's surname was Yang, she had already guessed that she was a member of the Yang family in the capital. Someone who could make the Yang family so confused and valued was definitely not an ordinary person. Wu's curiosity was piqued, and he really wanted to know what was going on. That person seemed to have appeared out of thin air. There has never been any information about him before. Li Xiaotian said in a deep voice. This was also a big problem that had been troubling the Li Palace recently. A mysterious expert that had never appeared before had actually caused a ruckus at Yang Potion's birthday banquet. There were no clues as to who this person was. Oh, no, there was one clue, and that was that this person was Tang Zheng's master. Li Xiaotian thought about the process of getting to know Tang Zheng, and Tang Zheng's little-known identity as a cultivator, and his heart skipped a beat. Since this person was Tang Zheng's master, then he must be a cultivator. Li Xiaotian subconsciously glanced at Wu Zong. The martial sect had always been hunting cultivators. If he told her about Tang Zheng's identity, would she immediately chase after Tang Zheng? No, Tang Zheng's identity cannot be exposed for the time being. This person has many secrets on him, and the key is that the heaven-shocking bow must have been hidden by him. Although I don't know how he hid it back then, but he must have brought it out of the prehistoric heavenly tomb. I must find him and take back the heaven-shocking bow. To dare snatch the treasure from the hands of my Li Palace's holy maiden, I will definitely not let you off so easily. Then does the Li Palace know anything about Tang Zheng? After all, he is Tang Zheng's master. Yang Qingyi took a step back and prepared to break through from Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng? Wu suddenly frowned and asked in surprise. You know Tang Zheng too? Yang Qingyi was shocked. Wu asked, "Is the Tang Zheng you're talking about a student of Yanqing University?" Yang Qingyi was even more surprised, and nodded. "He is indeed a new student of Yanqing University." "You said he's a warrior?" "And he even has a very powerful and mysterious master." Back then, during the military training, Tang Zheng had always concealed his identity as a cultivator and a martial artist. Even if he killed someone, he did not reveal his identity, which meant that he had escaped Wu's fiery eyes. Actually, she had once suspected Tang Zheng's skills, but the other party did not have the slightest bit of inner strength fluctuations, which was why she had dispelled this guess. She didn't expect that she had really misjudged him. The other party was actually a hidden expert, which made her very angry. Yang Qingyi confirmed, Tang Zheng is indeed a martial artist, at least in the post-celestial stage, and his master is an expert in the Grandmaster stage. Wu exclaimed, Grandmaster stage? In this world, the Grandmaster stage was already a top expert. This was a mysterious expert that had never been heard of before. Even Wu, who had always been interested in cultivators, couldn't help but be curious. Does your Li Palace really not know about Tang Zheng and his master? Wu went straight to the point and asked. Yang Qingyi was greatly astonished, not knowing why the other party was so interested in Tang Zheng. She thought that this young man was not simple, to actually be able to stir up the nerves of so many large powers. Li Xiaotian thought to himself, of course I know some information about them, but I don't plan on telling you. Their cultivator identities are only known to me in the entire Li Palace, so how could I easily tell you? I really don't know. Yang Qingyi and Wu were greatly disappointed. No matter what his background is, if he dares to deceive me, I will definitely find him and investigate him thoroughly. Wu said resolutely. Yang Qingyi muttered, Tang Zheng is the future son-in-law of the Ye family. If you touch him, be careful of the Ye family's counterattack. Wu disdainfully said, Ye family? If you want to go against the martial organization, you are courting death. You are from the martial organization? Yang Qingyi raised her eyebrows, finally a little surprised. The other party was actually a famous martial organization. Just what kind of background did this Tang Zheng have, to actually be related to the martial organization? Even though Yang Qingyi was extremely intelligent, she was still unable to guess the whole story. Wu Sheng arrogantly glanced at Yang Qingyi, his brows revealing a sense of pride. Seeing that Wu was so interested in Tang Zheng, Li Xiaotian had an idea and said, Wu, the person you are looking for is most likely in the capital, and Tang Zheng is also in the capital. You can go find him while you are at it. You said the demon god is in the capital? Wu asked in astonishment. At this time, a woman walked in with a document bag in her hand. Li Xiaotian indicated for her to hand it over to Wu and said, the specific information is inside, you will know once you take a look. Wu frowned and said, this is indeed the method of a cultivator, especially the demon clan. It seems that the demon god who escaped is really in the capital, then I must go and kill him this time. Li Xiaotian smiled and said, then I wish you victory, but I must remind you that when the demon god descended, you were unable to stop him, and I'm afraid you might not be able to succeed now. Wu coldly snorted and said, then you just wait and see. With that, he stood up and bid farewell, quickly leaving the Li Palace. Yang Qingyi looked at Wu's disappearing figure, her mood fluctuating. Although she did not obtain any information about the mysterious expert during this trip to the Li Palace, she accidentally found out about other things. The demon clan has actually come to this world. We must go back and tell father as soon as possible. Seeing that Yang Qingyi was in a daze, Li Xiaotian asked, I wonder if you have anything else to say? Yang Qingyi also stood up and said, thank you holy maiden, I have nothing else to do, so I will take my leave first. Li Xiaotian nodded her head, seeing that Yang Qingyi had left, she could not help but mutter to herself. The capital has always been the place where all the powers converge, and this time, the demon clan, the martial sect, and the mysterious cultivator Tang Zheng will all gather here at the same time. It will definitely be very exciting. How could I miss such a good show? Furthermore, I have already lured Wu to Tang Zheng. I wonder how Tang Zheng will deal with it. Can I fish in troubled waters and find the whereabouts of the heaven-shocking bow? The information I found about the heaven-shocking bow by chance only said that it was a divine bow with extraordinary power, but I don't know what kind of magical effects it has. If I can take back this divine bow and study it carefully, my fighting strength can also increase by leaps and bounds. Right, we absolutely cannot let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Men! Li Xiaotian shouted in a deep voice. Holy maiden, what orders do you have? I will be leaving for a period of time. All of you must properly take care of the matters of the Li Palace. If there is anything important, you must inform me immediately. Li Xiaotian instructed. His subordinate turned pale with fright and advised, Holy maiden, before a scarred mistress went into seclusion, she told you that you must stay in the palace to take care of matters and cannot leave. Li Xiaotian's face darkened, and said, I am the holy maiden, don't tell me you want to stop me. This subordinate does not dare. If you don't dare, then listen obediently. I have an important matter to attend to this time. If anyone dares to secretly tell a scarred mistress, I will definitely not forgive her. Li Xiaotian said sternly with a murderous aura. Yes, holy maiden, this subordinate does not dare. The corner of Li Xiaotian's mouth hooked up into a smile, and he quickly left the Li Palace. Target, Beijing. Chapter 319. As Tang Zheng walked around the campus, from time to time, there would be people pointing at him. After all, the confrontation with the police had caused quite a stir. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it. His focus was on the demon god. Although the demon god had escaped last night, would he still return to school? In addition, Ding Xiaowan was already out of danger, but she was still unconscious. This matter did not cause a huge uproar under the deliberate concealment of the school. However, the number of security guards patrolling the campus had obviously increased by quite a bit. All three, don't frown. We're going to participate in the club recruitment. I heard that every time the club recruits, there are quite a few beautiful girls. Sinosaurus said with a wink. Second bro, you have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. Don't you already have Liu Xian? Zhu Yang joked. Liu Xian was the result of his friendship with Yi Dingdang in the dormitory. Dou Long took a fancy to Liu Xian and chatted happily with her. During the National Day, he even took her to see a movie. Dou Long chuckled, didn't I just come into contact with her? We haven't even started yet. Furthermore, don't you see that All San already has Yi Dingdang? That day, he even sat on that beautiful woman's sports car. Zhu Yang laughed out loud. Second bro, don't even think about competing with third bro. Am I as romantic and elegant as third bro? I think I'm more handsome than all three. I shouldn't be able to compare to him. Sinosaurus boasted shamelessly. Tang Zheng waved his hand and said, Hey, you guys, don't mix me in. I'm a very pure person. The three of them revealed looks of disdain at the same time. Wang Shiji said, All three, I think you are the most romantic in our dorm. Last time, we heard from Feng Yong that you have a girlfriend. Tang Zheng laughed embarrassedly. What do you mean by another girlfriend? I only have one in the first place. TSK, all three, look, even boss can't stand it anymore. With a great beauty like Yi Dingdang, you actually have a foot in two boats. Zhu Yang said. What do you mean by unkind? This is the role model that we should learn from. Third brother, I support you. No man is a man without romance. Sinosaurus shook his head and said. Wang Shiji chuckled. Laro-san, Liu Xian is coming over. Can you repeat what you just said in front of her? Sinosaurus exclaimed and immediately turned around. Sure enough, the four girls from Yi Dingdang's dormitory were slowly walking over. Don't talk nonsense and ruin my image, Sinosaurus said seriously. Ha ha ha. Tang Zheng and the other two couldn't help but burst into laughter. Yo, what made you laugh so happily? Li Fengfei smiled at Zhu Yang and asked curiously. Yeah, let's share it. It's better to share it with everyone than to share it alone. Hao Dan said as he rolled his big eyes. Tang Zheng glanced at Hao Dan. This girl was indeed very cute, no wonder Feng Yong was so infatuated with her. Feng Yong had brought her around the entire capital in the past few days, and Feng Yong had vowed that he would take her down soon. As for Li Fengfei and Zhu Yang, it seemed that both sides were maintaining a lukewarm state. Li Fengfei had some intentions of taking the initiative, but Zhu Yang had been trying his best to keep his distance. Li Fengfei has good eyes, to actually take a fancy to all four. This all four's family is definitely not as simple as it seems on the surface. If Li Fengfei really takes all four down, it will definitely be a profitable investment. Tang Zheng said. Nothing special, just a joke. Oh right, what club do you want to join? Sinosaurus changed the topic without leaving a trace. Let's take a look first. Let's see if there's anything interesting. There were really a lot of clubs in the university, and this small field was filled with advertisements for recruitment, causing people to be dazzled. The various clubs had even taken out their special skills and kept handing out flyers, and there were even people shouting loudly, as if it was a lively market. Oh right, I remember that you guys are all outstanding people in the military training, so your physical fitness must be very good. Isn't there a martial arts club over there? Aren't you guys going to participate? Liu Xian pointed at a billboard and said. On the billboard, there were two people fighting. Their movements were extremely dazzling, and the words Bushido Club were impressively written in front of them. Hey, there's actually a martial arts club. Not bad, not bad. Sinosaurus was very interested. Let's go take a look and see if there's any real martial arts. Several people walked over and found that there were already a lot of people in front of the club. Many people were filling in the registration information, both men and women. They only heard a few girls chattering. The Bushido Club is very powerful. A few years ago, wasn't there an ancient martial arts club? They were all defeated by this Bushido Club, and finally were forced to disband and disappear. Yes, that ancient martial arts club is just a show, just like the martial arts shown on TV, it's all fake. The people like to brag, this Bushido is the real thing. It is said that the club's president is the direct disciple of a Bushido master from the island nation, and will personally teach judo, karate, kendo, aikido, these real martial arts. Wow, then if I join the club, won't I be a master in the future? Quickly fill in the form to sign up. Hearing these discussions, Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang frowned at the same time. The dignified Chinese martial arts were actually called flowery and impractical by these people, while the island nation's Japanese martial arts were praised so highly. Tang Zheng couldn't help but remember the group of Japanese he met in the 10,000 mountains. They traveled thousands of miles just to snatch the Beast King's blood essence, and at the same time, their so-called Bushido was actually so popular in the university campus, which made Tang Zheng very angry. Is this Bushido really that powerful? How Dan curiously stretched her neck, only to see that there was a specially erected screen in the recruitment area. On it was the scene of Bushido fighting with people. It was indeed very dazzling, but in front of experts like Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang, it was clumsy and laughable. If it's really that powerful, then shouldn't we go and learn some self-defense techniques as well? Li Fengfei said. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said indignantly, what's so good about the Japanese's Bushido? We won't participate in such a liar. Zhu Yang nodded his head and said, our country's martial arts are definitely not flowery and impractical, it's just that there is too little publicity. Furthermore, many of our countrymen think that the moon of a foreign country is round and wantonly belittle their own country's martial arts. Isn't this just worshipping foreign things? Wang Shiji said. Hearing this, the few students in front all turned their heads and angrily rebuked, if you don't understand, then don't speak nonsense. You only know how to show off your mouth. What did you say? Sinosaurus flew into a rage. Worshipping foreign things is talking about you people. What's so great about this Japanese Bushido? If you have the guts, then come out and fight me one-on-one. Let's see whose fist is harder. Mph, are you looking down on our Bushido, so you want to challenge us? An angry voice sounded. The crowd parted and a person walked out. This person was very young and could not hide the pride between his eyebrows. Wow, this is President Jiang Chuan. He actually came this time. Wow, he's really handsome and stylish. A girl exclaimed like a love-struck fool. Jiang Chuan Yuenya. Last year, he was the one who defeated the ancient martial arts society and forced them to disband the society. Wow, so powerful. It must be super safe to have a boyfriend like this. Hey, are you still Hua Xia people? So worshipping foreign things. Sinosaurus roared with righteous indignation. The girls rolled their eyes and snorted, idiot, let's see how he jumps after being beaten into a pig's head by President Jiang Chuan. Jiang Chuan Yuenya walked straight in front of them and looked at Sinosaurus arrogantly, saying, do you want to challenge our Bushido society? Phut, so what if it's a challenge? I'm going to beat you into a pig's head and send you back to your hometown. Sinosaurus raised his head and said, hee, you overestimate yourself. In that case, I'll let you see the true power of the Bushido society. It'll also be a free advertisement for our society. Jiang Chuan Yuenya said contemptuously. A few people immediately stood up behind him and said aggressively, President, leave this person to us. How dare he insult the Bushido society? I'll beat him until he's looking for his teeth on the ground. Okay, you've been studying in the society for more than a year. It's time to test the results of your studies. Jiang Chuan Yuenya nodded and said with relief. These people aren't Japanese. Tang Zheng said in a low voice. Yi Dingdang shook her head. No, they look like senior students from Huaxia. This Jiangchuan Yuanya seems to be an international student from an island nation. Mph, an international student dares to be so arrogant in our country. Does he really think that there's no one in the great Huaxia? Tang Zheng said angrily. Who says so? It's just that there are really too few martial artists among the ordinary people now. Island Nation promotes Bushido. Bushido has a high status in their country, unlike our country's awkward situation. Yi Dingdang was born in a martial arts family and knew a thing or two. Tang Zheng snorted coldly in dissatisfaction. This was all because of the country's strategic failure. Sinosaurus, don't try to be brave. They really seem to know martial arts. Liu Xian advised worriedly. When Sinosaurus heard this, it was even more impossible to retreat. Instead, he stepped forward and said, "Don't worry, today I'm going to teach this group of people who worship foreign things a lesson." Zhu Yang glanced at Tang Zheng and said, "Laro-san, Laro-er, is this okay?" "Don't worry, Laro-er is strong and strong. Besides, during military training, Laro-san's military boxing is also good. These people may not be able to hurt him," Tang Zheng said. Zhu Yang breathed a sigh of relief. He had already known that Tang Zheng's skills were not simple. With him holding the fort, at least Sinosaurus would not be at a disadvantage. Now, the mentality of the people really needs a wake-up call. Lao can be considered to have helped everyone vent their anger this time. Wang Shiji said. Mph, they think that there's no one in Huaxia? How dare they be clowns? Today, I want to see how these clowns are going to jump around. Tang Zheng muttered to himself in disdain. Yi Dingdang glanced at him and understood that today's recruitment of new members would probably be beyond the expectations of many people. After hearing that someone had challenged the Bushido Society, a lot of people gathered in a short while, discussing and watching the show. Chapter 320. Kid, don't say we're bullying you. Let's fight one-on-one. Let's fight one-on-one, a member of the Bushido Society said arrogantly. Sinosaurus snorted and said, let's fight. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? Then, he threw a punch at the opponent. This was the simplest move in military boxing, but it was very pure without any fancy moves. Although Sinosaurus was not a martial artist, his physical fitness was very good. His punch was not weak. The opponent twisted his neck and dodged the punch. Then, he punched Sinosaurus in the stomach. Sinosaurus could not dodge in time and took the punch. He groaned but did not retreat. Instead, a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He hugged the opponent's waist and used his strength. With a whoosh, the opponent flew out and hit the TV screen. With a crash, a big hole was smashed in the screen. Suddenly, there were exclamations everywhere. Many people looked at Sinosaurus in disbelief. This kid was tall and strong. He was indeed powerful. Second brother, you're amazing. Sinosaurus gave Sinosaurus a thumbs up. Sinosaurus smiled proudly and glanced at Liu Xian as if he was showing off. Liu Xian had been nervously clenching her fists. Now, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing Sinosaurus looking at her, she could not help but blush. Don't brag here if you lose. What Bushido? It's all bullshit, Sinosaurus spat and said disdainfully. Jiangchuan Yuanya's face instantly darkened. He looked at the member who fell and strode toward Sinosaurus and said, if that's the case, then compete with me. Before he finished speaking, Jiangchuan Yuanya rushed toward Sinosaurus. Sinosaurus hurriedly threw a punch. Their fists collided. Sinosaurus quickly retreated, but Jiangchuan Yuanya was faster. He flew up like a shadow and kicked Sinosaurus in the chest. Bang! With a muffled sound, Sinosaurus was sent flying as if he had been hit by a heavy hammer. Liu Xian screamed and hurriedly rushed forward to catch Sinosaurus, but Tang Zheng was faster than her and caught Sinosaurus in a flash. At this moment, Jiangchuan Yuanya chased after him like a maggot in a tarsal bone. He raised his leg and kicked straight at Tang Zheng's head. This kick was so powerful that it could break Tang Zheng's neck. Ah! Cries of alarm rang out from the crowd. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape. Many people were so scared that they closed their eyes. The eyes of the female students who had been smitten earlier lit up as they shouted, "President Jiang Chuan, you can do it." Jiang Chuan Yuanye had no intention of showing any mercy. This person dared to provoke the Bushido Club, so he had to beat him down. He would never allow anyone to provoke him. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to kick Tang Zheng, a person appeared in front of Tang Zheng. It was a beautiful woman, Yi Dingdang. When Jiang Chuan Yuanye saw Yi Dingdang clearly, his pupils constricted. He exclaimed to himself, "A martial artist. This person is actually a martial artist." Earlier, Yi Dingdang was not very eye-catching in the crowd, so Jiang Chuan Yuanye ignored her. But at this critical moment, it was already too late for him to retreat. Instead, he added a bit more strength into his leg. Yi Dingdang's eyes seemed as though they were about to spit fire. She also sent out a kick. Her legs were originally long and slender, so with this kick, it was practically a split, incomparably perfect. Bang! Both of them were kicked. Yi Dingdang only took a small step back, but Jiang Chuan Yuanye actually flew backward. He staggered a few steps before stopping. Everyone's eyeballs almost fell out. This beauty was so powerful that she could take on Jiang Chuan Yuanye head-on. The smitten girl was dumbfounded. It was as if someone was strangling her. "Sinosaurus, how are you?" Liu Xian held Sinosaurus's hand and asked with concern. Sinosaurus's face was pale just now. Now that he had recovered, he took a deep breath and said, "I'm fine." "Bitch, you call that fine? You flew from so far away. If Tang Zheng hadn't caught you, you would have fallen and gotten into trouble," Liu Xian complained, but the concern in her words was obvious. "He's fine. He'll be fine after some rest," Tang Zheng said in a low voice. In fact, the kick that Sinosaurus took was not simple. There was a blood clot in his chest. Fortunately, Tang Zheng discovered it in time and used his energy to dissolve it. Otherwise, Sinosaurus would definitely have an incurable illness in the long run. Tang Zheng stood up immediately and stared at Jiang Chuan Yuanye. This person was a martial artist, but he was so ruthless towards ordinary people that he caught Tang Zheng off guard. He had no time to block the blow for Sinosaurus. "Didn't you say that you looked down on Huashia's martial arts? Then I'll open your eyes today," Yi Dingdang said loudly. Jiang Chuan Yuanye said in a low voice, "Mph, such petty tricks. You want to be mentioned in the same breath as my great Bushido? But you guys let a woman do it and hide behind her. Mph, you guys are really good." Jiang Chuan Yuanye could tell that Yi Dingdang was not an ordinary person. He was not completely confident in fighting with her, so he deliberately provoked her. This girl was clearly the only martial artist among these people. As long as he avoided her, the others were nothing to be afraid of. Martial arts doesn't discriminate between men and women. "I think you're afraid of me, so you don't dare to fight with me." Yi Dingdang was also a smart person. She immediately saw through the other party's sinister intentions. Of course, she could take advantage of the situation and let Tang Zheng fight, but facing this hateful Jiang Chuan Yuanye, she wanted to fight herself. Tang Zheng did not take the opportunity to snatch Yi Dingdang. Instead, he quietly helped Sinosaurus up, as if he was at ease to hide behind Yi Dingdang. This made the few infatuated girls despise him. They mocked, "Yo, this kind of man is really spineless. He actually hides behind a woman. Mph, one look and you can tell he's a good-for-nothing. Yes, how can this kind of trash be compared to President Jiang Chuan? He's a disgrace to Yang University." Zhu Yang and the others were indignant. They shouted, "What nonsense are you talking about? He, hiding behind a woman and still have the nerve to yell at us. I've really learned something," the infatuated girl mocked. Tang Zheng shook his head at Zhu Yang and said, "There's no need to waste your breath on people who can't distinguish right from wrong and worship foreign things. That's simply an insult to your intelligence." Seeing Tang Zheng's nonchalant look, Zhu Yang could not help but sigh. "Third brother, I just can't stand people like this." Yi Dingdang said, "I can't stand it either. Since they said this Jiang Chuan Yuanye is so powerful, then I'll defeat him and let them see what kind of person he is. Dingdang, are you his match? Why don't we let Tang Zheng go? Li Fengfei and the others suggested worriedly. They had never seen Yi Dingdang fight, but they had seen Tang Zheng's clean moves in the private restaurant. Yi Dingdang smirked confidently and said, "No need, just watch." She strode towards Jiangchuan Yuanye. Seeing that his trick did not work and that he had to face Yi Dingdang, Jiangchuan Yuanye was a little nervous. However, he quickly hid these thoughts and said with a fierce look in his eyes, "Fists and feet have no eyes. If I hurt you later, I won't be responsible. Mate, if you have the ability to hurt me, then it's my bad luck. I definitely won't find trouble with you, but I doubt if you have that ability," Yi Dingdang said disdainfully. "Similarly, if I hurt you, then you'll have to admit that you're unlucky. Okay, then let's see who's stronger. Is this woman stupid? How can she be President Jiang Chuan's match?" The infatuated girls began to chatter again. "Yes, this kind of woman does whatever she wants just because she's pretty. I've been sick of it for a long time. President Jiang Chuan, don't be gentle with her." Some of the surrounding boys could not stand it anymore, especially when they saw how beautiful Yi Dingdang was. They retorted loudly, "What's the point of bullying a woman? If you have the guts, come at us." Yes, this is Hua Xia. When did it become the turn of an island nation to show off here? Let's go together. I don't believe that we can't beat this *T president. The infatuated girls shouted excitedly, "See, this group of people only know how to jeer. They even want to attack President Jiangchuan together. How ungentlemanly. It's embarrassing to be in the same school as this kind of person." Their words undoubtedly ignited the powder keg. One of them roared, "Are you still Hua Xia people? Why are you talking to an island nation person?" "We're on the side of reason, not family," the infatuated girl retorted. "Don't pay attention to this kind of woman who worships foreign things. She's simply unreasonable." Seeing that the crowd was discussing animatedly, Yi Dingdang cupped her hands towards the crowd and said heroically, "Thank you for your good intentions. An outsider dares to look down on our country. Then I will teach him a lesson today and let him know that our Hua Xia is not something that a small barbarian country can provoke and insult. Today, I ask everyone to be my witness." Good, she's a real heroine. Those clowns aren't even fit to carry her shoes. When the infatuated girls heard this, their faces flushed red. They glared hatefully at Yi Dingdang, thinking that when you lose, we'll humiliate you. "Hey, isn't this the girl who gave the speech during the military training?" A sharp-eyed person recognized Yi Dingdang. "Yes, that's her. I was wondering why she looked so familiar. I didn't recognize her without her military uniform. She's even prettier without her military uniform. She went to the army to participate in the military training. She must have learned a lot. This little Japanese guy might not be her opponent. Beauty, do your best. We support you." The crowd was excited and cheers were endless. More and more people gathered. Even the members of the other clubs who were in charge of recruiting gathered around, looking forward to this battle. Yi Dingdang and Jiangchuan Yuanye stood face to face. Suddenly, Jiangchuan Yuanye leaped and sent a flying kick towards Yi Dingdang. There was even the sound of air being torn apart. This move was incomparably beautiful and caused the crowd to exclaim. Yi Dingdang struck out with her palm. This palm was soft as if it had no strength at all. Immediately, the crowd's hearts clenched. However, Yi Dingdang was full of confidence. This was because this move was from the Jade Girl Heart Sutra. The seemingly weak move suddenly became abnormally strong when it was close to the target. Chapter 321. However, ordinary people did not realize the power of this palm. Seeing that Jiangchuan Yuanye's ferocious kick was about to hit Yi Dingdang's palm, many people's hearts involuntarily jumped to their throats. Everyone's gent was a patriotic pine. Bang! With a muffled sound, Yi Dingdang's arm shook, and Jiangchuan Yuanye felt a piercing pain in his leg, which made his expression somewhat ferocious. However, he gritted his teeth and persevered. His other leg also kicked up. His body was in mid-air, and he executed a chain kick. The sky was filled with leg shadows. Yi Dingdang's palms were like the wind. Every palm seemed weak and powerless, but it perfectly blocked the opponent's chain kick. This series of battles was unusually fierce. Even ordinary people could see the danger in it. However, seeing that Yi Dingdang was not at a disadvantage, everyone knew that she was also an expert. Wow! Not only was she beautiful, but she was also an expert. Immediately, those who supported her seemed to have been injected with chicken blood as they cheered excitedly. Even Yi Dingdang's 3 roommates were in disbelief. They had been together for more than a month, but they did not realize that she was an expert. After a fierce battle, both of them understood that they had met a real opponent. This Jiangchuan Yuanye was not an embroidered pillow, but a real martial artist. Like Yi Dingdang, he was a first-grade acquired stage. For him to have such a cultivation at this age, it meant that the rumors were not false. He must have had the guidance of a master to have such a cultivation. But so what? Yi Dingdang was not afraid at all. Instead, her fighting spirit was high. Every move she made, her attacks became fiercer and fiercer. Her valiant and heroic posture made people's hearts surge. Many people excitedly discussed, "This is a real goddess. I've decided that Yi Dingdang will be my goddess from now on. In the future, I will look for a wife according to her standards. TSK, then you can only be a bachelor for the rest of your life." Haha, yes, she's a goddess. What is a goddess? She's not something that ordinary people can compare to. If you want to find a goddess like her, what else can you do but be a bachelor? When those love-struck girls heard these words, they were very indignant. They muttered, "What goddess? She's crazy. Let's see how arrogant she can be after she gets beaten down by President Jiang Chuan." The two of them had already exchanged dozens of blows. Yi Dingdang had complete control of the rhythm. Although the two of them had the same cultivation, Yi Dingdang's Jade Women's Heart Sutra was clearly superior. Jiangchuan Yuanye gradually lost confidence. If this continued, he would be defeated, and the great situation he had worked so hard to build would be destroyed. No, Master has high hopes for me and has given me such an important mission. I've already come this far, so how can I lose? I must win. Where did this girl come from? She was so powerful. In the past 2 years, Yenqing University didn't have a real martial artist. They were all fancy but impractical. I easily destroyed that ancient martial arts society and gathered such a large group of Huaxia people who are loyal to the island nation. I can't let all of this go to waste. Yes, they only have this girl who's powerful. As long as I defeat her, no one will dare to challenge me in the future. Jiangchuan Yuanye's eyes revealed a sinister look. He suddenly stared at Yi Dingdang's chest and thought of a plan. He secretly sneered, "I've finally found a way to defeat you." Jiangchuan Yuanye took a few steps back and retreated to the wall. The students watching the two of them retreated. Seeing that Jiangchuan Yuanye was forced into a corner, many people cheered excitedly. "Yi Dingdang will win, Yi Dingdang will win." Yi Dingdang smiled proudly and said in a low voice, "Let's see what other tricks you have up your sleeve." She attacked, and Jiangchuan Yuanye hurriedly reacted as if he was caught off guard. He met it with a palm, but the other hand was hidden behind the palm in front of him. Bang! Jiangchuan Yuanye took this attack. His palm felt like it was going to break. He retreated, but was blocked by the wall. There was no way to retreat. His back slammed heavily into the wall, causing him to grimace in pain. However, his other hand that was hidden behind the wall grabbed towards Yi Dingdang's chest. Yi Dingdang had used up all her moves. Seeing that the opponent's claws were grabbing at her chest, she was furious. This must be part of the opponent's plan. It was too late for her to fight back, so the claws would definitely grab her chest. Even if she fought back and defeated the opponent later, it would be a great humiliation, and her victory would be greatly reduced. Too cunning. Yi Dingdang gritted her teeth. There was nothing she could do. She could only watch the claws come at her. All of this seemed to take a long time to describe, but it actually happened in the blink of an eye. Although many people saw through Jiangchuan Yuanye's dirty move, they could do nothing about it. Tang Zheng's spirit shivered, and his murderous intent flared up. "Devil, don't blame me for not holding back if you dare to use dirty tricks." Whoosh! A A strong wind blew past, blowing the hair beside Yi Dingdang's ears. Before she could react, a palm appeared in front of her and met Jiangchuan Yuanye's claws. Bang! With a muffled sound, Jiangchuan Yuanye bounced back violently as if he had been hit by a train. He crashed into the wall, and a human figure appeared on the wall. Dust fell bit by bit. Fart! Jiangchuan Yuanye spat out a mouthful of blood and slid down the wall. He knelt on the ground, panting heavily. Tang Zheng casually pulled Yi Dingdang into his arms. Yi Dingdang felt the warm embrace and let down her guard. Her heart was filled with indescribable gratitude and sweetness. He had helped her out. He was indeed her hero. Every time she needed help, he would appear by her side. From ordinary Balance Mountain to that border town, and then just now, it was the same every time. He is my hero. I made the right choice. Yi Dingdang felt as if her whole body was about to melt. Are you okay? Tang Zheng asked with concern. Yi Dingdang shook her head. I'm fine. You rest first. I'll deal with him, Tang Zheng said in a low voice. Yi Dingdang naturally understood that Jiangchuan Yuanye was no match for Tang Zheng. She nodded obediently. This person is full of tricks. You have to be careful. Tang Zheng said disdainfully, in the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are clumsy performances. They can't even withstand a single blow. Tang Zheng's aura was like a rainbow. Many people who were silently criticizing him couldn't help but wonder if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Was this still the boy who was hiding behind a woman just now? How did his aura change so drastically in an instant? Those infatuated girls were even more stunned. Why was President Jiangchuan, whom they admired, in such a sorry state? What happened just now? For ordinary people, Tang Zheng's movements were too fast. They didn't know what happened at all. In the blink of an eye, they found that Tang Zheng was hugging Yi Dingdang, and Jiangchuan Yuanye was kneeling on the ground in a sorry state. However, those with discerning eyes knew that all this must have been caused by Tang Zheng. It turned out that he was the real master. He just didn't make a move just now. Once he made a move, he made a big move. It was too awesome. Many people's blood was boiling. Who said that boys had to hide behind women? Who said that there were no masters? Wasn't this the case? The great Hua Xia couldn't allow a few foreigners from an island nation to show off their strength. This time, they would know their power. Good job. Many people clenched their fists and waved excitedly. Teach that island nation a good lesson. He's so despicable. He just blasphemed my goddess. It's unforgivable. Obviously, Jiangchuan Yuanye's despicable behavior just now had already made people unhappy. Tang Zheng looked at Jiangchuan Yuanye condescendingly, and the other party finally raised his head. He gritted his teeth, and a fierce light burst out of his eyes. He was like a hungry wolf that was about to devour someone. So you're the master. Jiangchuan Yuanye gritted his teeth and said word by word. He had misjudged. This person clearly didn't have the slightest fluctuation of internal energy. However, the other party defeated him in one move. What did this mean? This meant that Tang Zheng was much more powerful than him. That was why he could hide his cultivation level so seamlessly in front of him. He didn't know that this was because Tang Zheng wasn't a martial artist. Of course, there wouldn't be any fluctuations of internal energy. He got up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, "Who are you? You don't have to know who I am. Didn't you say that there are no real martial artists in Hua Xia? I'll show you today. However, if you lose, your samurai club will be dissolved on the spot. Don't come out and embarrass yourself in the future. Go back to your island nation." Tang Zheng said firmly. "Mph, why should I listen to you?" Jiangchuan Yuanye said unhappily. "Didn't you use this method to dissolve the ancient martial arts club? I'm here to kick your ass today. Since you're not as good as others, what's the point of your club existing?" Tang Zheng said aggressively. "You don't have the final say in disbanding the club. This is a case in school. You don't have the right." The infatuated girls jumped out again and retorted. Tang Zheng narrowed his eyes slightly and turned his head to look. The infatuated girls felt as if a knife was placed on their necks. A chill rose from the soles of their feet. "What are you doing?" they asked anxiously. "If you don't know how to behave, go back to your mother's stomach. Don't come out and embarrass yourself. That's not embarrassing you, but the face of this country. You." They were so angry that they were speechless. "Yes, go back. Don't come out and embarrass yourself." Zhu Yang was already filled with righteous indignation and roared. Immediately, Sinosaurus, Wang Shiji, and the others also hurriedly echoed. The roars in the crowd grew louder and louder. "Go back, go back." The infatuated girls looked terrified and retreated step by step. The other party, whom they had originally ridiculed, actually had such power when united. It was an energy that made them afraid. Tang Zheng turned his head and stared at Jiangchuan Yuanye. "Whether you agree or not, this matter has been decided. As long as you lose, if you dare to use the name of the club to swindle people again, I'll beat you up every time I see you." Jiangchuan Yuanye was forced into a corner and his face was ashen. He had been in Huaxia for more than 2 years and had never met someone like Tang Zheng. Many people didn't listen to him and tried to curry favor with him when they heard that he was a foreigner. Moreover, he did have some real skills. He was really like a fish in water and was even more carefree than in his own country. But he never expected this Chen Yaojin to appear halfway. Chapter 322. Jiangchuan Yuanye had no choice but to accept the challenge. He said, "Since you want to challenge me, then of course I have to show my best. I'm best at swordsmanship, so I know how to use weapons. Everyone knows that Ghent is a patriotic pine." Tang Zheng said without fear, "Do as you wish, I don't even need a weapon to beat you until you are looking for your teeth all over the floor." Jiangchuan Yuanye snorted and returned to the shed where the club was recruiting new members. He took out a katana, held it with both hands, and stood in front of Tang Zheng. "Swords have no eyes. It's not too late to admit defeat now." When the others saw that Jiangchuan Yuanye was holding a weapon while Tang Zheng was barehanded, they all felt that it was unfair. "This is not fair. You're using a katana while he doesn't have any weapons. It's an unfair win. Yes, the island nation people are too despicable." Tang Zheng clasped his fist at the crowd and said, "Thank you for your concern. Today, I will beat him without weapons. Please be a witness and prove Huaxia's martial arts." Jiangchuan Yuanye snorted in disdain and roared. He held the katana tightly with both hands and slashed it with all his might. Whoosh! The blade brushed past Tang Zheng's cheek, and he could even feel the coldness from the blade. The others' hearts were in their throats. Li Fengfei and the others said nervously, "Can Tang Zheng win, 5 by 10? Yi Dingdang nodded firmly. "Of course, I don't doubt it." Tang Zheng dodged the attack and hit the katana with his palm. Bang! The katana flew to the side and almost fell out of Jiangchuan Yuanye's hand. Jiangchuan Yuanye's expression changed. He thought that with a weapon, he could at least be in an invincible position. He didn't expect that the opponent's strength was far beyond his imagination. However, he couldn't admit defeat just like that. He could only attack again with the katana. Island nation's swordsmanship was extremely powerful, and most of them were slashing and stabbing. Many changes were also derived from this. Compared to Huaxia's truly versatile swordsmanship, it was child's play. Tang Zheng did not use the heavenly fairy sword technique. It was better to restrain himself a little in broad daylight. Therefore, when faced with Jiangchuan Yuanye's attack, he could only use the Heaven Gathering Hand to counterattack. The Heaven's Gathering Hand was also a martial arts technique that was ever-changing. Although it was barehanded, it did not lose out to Jiangchuan Yuanye at all. The two of them went back and forth, their palms and blades crisscrossing, the sound of collisions never ending. Every time Tang Zheng counterattacked, the angle was very clever. The place where his palm hit was always the blade, not the blade. It looked very dangerous to outsiders, but to Tang Zheng, it was very safe. However, with every slap, the steel katana would bend, as if it could break at any moment. Jiangchuan Yuanye's arm began to feel numb. If he continued to be in such a passive situation, he would definitely lose. "I have to fight back." A light flashed in Jiangchuan Yuanye's eyes, and he slashed again at close range. Tang Zheng did the same, taking the opponent's continuous attacks one after another. However, this time, Jiangchuan Yuanye was holding the katana with one hand, and the other hand was hanging by his waist. No one noticed this abnormality. Suddenly, a cold light flashed, and a short katana appeared in Jiangchuan Yuanye's empty hand. It appeared and disappeared mysteriously, stabbing toward Tang Zheng's abdomen. The two of them were not far from each other, and the katana slashed again and again, firmly attracting Tang Zheng's attention. Therefore, he did not notice the attack at all. By the time he realized it, it was already too late. At this time, Yi Dingdang also noticed this scene. She could not help but exclaim, "Be careful." There was a long blade above and a short blade below. Attacking from top to bottom, it was abnormally ruthless and ingenious. The corner of Jiangchuan Yuanye's mouth curled up into a sneer as he thought to himself, "Let's see how you counterattack now. Mph, this slash will definitely injure you severely. Even if it can't kill you, it can guarantee my victory. In the future, no one in this school will dare to challenge me." Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. With a low roar, the bastard Vajra art activated on its own. A faint golden luster appeared on the skin of his abdomen, but it was covered by his clothes and no one could see it. Tang Zheng had already cultivated the chaotic Vajra art to the first level of the copper skin realm. Especially after he wrapped his abdomen with true qi, this area of his body became even tougher. Puff! Under everyone's watchful eyes, the clothes on Tang Zheng's abdomen were pierced, and the short blade pierced into his body. Clang! A soft sound rang out. Jiangchuan Yuanye felt as if the short blade had encountered an iron wall and could not pierce through. He turned pale with fright. What was going on? Could it be that there was a steel plate hidden under his clothes? When the others saw this scene, they thought that Tang Zheng's body had been pierced through by the short blade. They all screamed, and many people couldn't bear to see this and covered their eyes. Zhu Yang and the others even rushed towards Tang Zheng to help him. Yi Dingdang's eyes lit up as she shouted, "Don't go up, Tang Zheng is fine." She was extremely shocked in her heart. What kind of martial arts did Tang Zheng cultivate? Such a fierce stab was actually unable to injure him. Could it be that he cultivates some kind of martial arts, but this kind of martial arts is extremely difficult to cultivate? Without a few decades of foundation, it is impossible to reach the realm of invulnerability. Seeing the shock in Jiangchuan Yuanye's eyes, Tang Zheng's mouth curled up into a cold smile. The chaotic Vajra art was indeed extraordinary, to be able to block such a fierce attack. Just now, he felt a wave of pain, but he was sure that the short blade did not pierce his skin, so he did not retreat. Instead, he took a step forward and released his innate qi, causing a strong rebound force to erupt from his abdomen. Crack! With a crisp sound, the short blade broke into two pieces. Jiangchuan Yuanye lowered his head in disbelief, looking at the short blade in his hand that only had half of it left. This weapon forged from steel was actually so weak. In the past, many people had died from this move of his, but today, it had actually failed. Tang Zheng took the opportunity to slap the long blade with his palm. This palm contained a terrifying amount of power, and with another catcher sound, the long blade broke inch by inch. The entire blade turned into pieces and scattered all over the ground. Jiangchuan Yuanye was shocked and quickly retreated. Only now did he understand that he had met the strongest enemy in his life, and that he was far from being able to contend against him. He flew backwards, but Tang Zheng was even faster than him. When he took a step back, Tang Zheng had already taken 2 steps forward and slapped both of his palms on his chest. Bang! With a thunderous explosion, Jiangchuan Yuanye's chest caved in, and he flew towards the wall. This time, he really smashed a deep hole, and bricks fell down one by one. The crowd had forgotten to cheer, and were dumbfounded. This scene was too shocking. It turned out that Hua Xia's martial arts were so powerful. In the past, so many people thought that it was just showy and impractical. They were simply frogs at the bottom of a well, sitting in a well and looking at the sky. Yi Dingdang and the others quickly surrounded him and asked at once, "Tang Zheng, are you okay?" They all looked at his abdomen, but did not see any blood. Tang Zheng shook his head, indicating that he was fine. "Then is he dead?" Looking at the motionless Jiangchuan Yuanye, Zhu Yang asked. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I won't die. Just now, Tang Zheng really had the ability to kill with one blow, but with so many people watching, if he killed in broad daylight, he would definitely get into trouble. Although he had previously said that life and death were not to be discussed, Tang Zheng still had some considerations in order to avoid trouble. There were many ways to kill Jiangchuan Yuanye, and there was no need to cause trouble for himself in front of so many people. Sure enough, Jiangchuan Yuanye got up in a sorry state. His body was covered in dust, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked at Tang Zheng in horror and moved his lips, not knowing what to say. Tang Zheng strode towards the other party, and the strong murderous intent made Jiangchuan Yuanye's heart almost stop. He held his breath and truly felt the threat of death. He believed that Tang Zheng would really kill him. What are you going to do? Tang Zheng sneered and said, the outcome has been decided, and your Tea Club is disbanded. Otherwise, next time it won't be this little bit of suffering. Hatred flashed in Jiangchuan Yuanye's eyes. He wanted to say something, but in the end, under Tang Zheng's knife-like gaze, he did not dare to speak. He hung his head dejectedly, like a stray dog. At this time, the crowd's cheers completely erupted, and it was earth-shattering. The few infatuated girls took the opportunity to slip away. Let's go. Tang Zheng turned around and left. When he passed by the Bushido Club's recruitment billboard, he stopped and glanced at the billboard. The others kept quiet and looked at him attentively, not knowing what he was going to do. Suddenly, Tang Zheng roared, jumped, and kicked the billboard, which was specially made of wood, into pieces and scattered in all directions. Seeing this, Jiangchuan Yuanye's face turned the color of pig liver, and his eyes were about to spit fire. However, he could only watch Tang Zheng leave. Jiangchuan Yuanye limped and left in a sorry state. He walked to an empty corner and lifted his clothes. The 2 palm prints on his chest were visible, and the blood had accumulated on his chest. It was a shocking sight, and even his muscles had caved in a lot. The heart-wrenching pain eroded his nerves, and he could not help but scream in a low voice. Tang Zheng, if I don't take revenge, I'm not human. A dazzling light burst out from his eyes. Hello, Master, have you arrived in the capital? He took a deep breath, suppressed the pain, and dialed a number. Yuanye, I just got off the plane. This time, I came to Huashia specifically for your martial uncle's whereabouts. Have you found out his whereabouts during this time? Master, I only found out that martial uncle went to the south, and then there was no news. The south? What did he go there for? I don't know. Martial uncle's group is very mysterious, and I've only seen him once. Master, I met a master today. A master? Yes, I was injured by him, and even the Bushido Club couldn't continue because of him. Barker. Bastard, don't you know the heavy responsibility of the club? The other party roared. Jiangchuan Yuanye felt bitter. How could he not know the heavy responsibility of the club? This was a spy club that screened out people from Huashia who were loyal to the island nation. As these people graduated from famous schools, they would have good achievements in the future, and with the secret support of the island nation, many of them would even reach a very high position, and thus gain more benefits for the island nation. Who is that master? How dare he obstruct the interests of the island nation? We must eliminate him, the other party said murderously. Chapter 323. As night fell, Tang Zheng did not return to the dormitory. On his way back, he saw Jiangchuan Yuanye walking out of the school from afar. Everyone knew that Ghent was a patriotic pine. It was already dark. Jiangchuan Yuanye was injured, but he did not rest in the dormitory. Instead, he took advantage of the night to walk out of the school. This made Tang Zheng feel that it was unusual. He had crossed swords with the people of the island nation a few times and knew how crazy they were. Although he had defeated Jiangchuan Yuanye, the other party might not be convinced. Since he was sneaking around, Tang Zheng naturally had to follow him to see what was going on. Under the night sky, Jiangchuan Yuanye was very fast. After a simple treatment, he couldn't wait to go to the hotel to meet his master, Sawada Ichiro, to discuss how to deal with Tang Zheng. He was completely unaware that there was a figure following him not far behind and following him to the five-star hotel. Seeing Jiang Chuan Yuanya sneaking into a room, Tang Zheng turned around and jumped out of the window of the stairwell. Like Spider-Man, he climbed up the wall of the hotel that was dozens of meters high. After a moment, he hid outside the window of the target's room. A conversation could be heard from the room. "Master, this Tang Zheng ruined our plans. We must not let him go," Jiang Chuan Yuanya said through gritted teeth. "Bastard, you were actually defeated by a Huaxia person. Who is he?" "He's just a student." "Mph, then I'll go meet him. I must get rid of him." Tang Zheng laid on the wall, feeling the night breeze, and frowned. These two fellows were actually speaking the language of the island nation. Tang Zheng could not understand a single word, but he seemed to have heard his own name. Even though the pronunciation was a bit strange, he was sure that the other party had mentioned him. This Jiang Chuan Yuanya actually has an accomplice. Judging from their tone, they definitely don't have anything good to say about me. There's a high chance that they're planning to deal with me. I knew that the people of the island nation wouldn't let this go. Well, if that's the case, then I don't have to be polite with you. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. A person walked in and said loudly, "Mr. Sawada Ichiro, nice to meet you. Why didn't you inform me that you were coming to Beijing? If I hadn't come to Beijing to discuss business, I wouldn't have been able to see you." Tang Zheng was shocked. The person who said this was a Huaxia, but the voice was very familiar. Tang Zheng seemed to have heard it somewhere before. "Young Master Long, nice to meet you. I was just about to visit you in Dianan. I didn't expect you to be in the capital," Sawada Ichiro said with a fake smile. "Haha, that's just right. I'll take care of the business in Beijing these few days, and then we'll go to Dianan together. I'll do my part as a host." Tang Zheng was shocked, but he also came to a realization. No wonder the voice was so familiar. The other party was the young master of the southern Yunnan dragon clan, Long Tengyu. Long Tengyu is actually in contact with these devils, and from his tone, he seems to be very close and familiar with them. "Fortunately, I came here with Jiang Chuan Yuanya tonight, otherwise I wouldn't have known such important information. Mr. Sawada Ichiro, I'm really sorry about what happened to Wang Fuchuan last time. I didn't expect that Mu Hongyang, that bitch, would actually find out what Wang Fuchuan did. Fortunately, I took care of Wang Fuchuan, otherwise, our cooperation would have been exposed. My old man will definitely be furious if he knows about this. Actually, the Long family should have been handed over to young Master Long to take care of. It was a wrong decision to let an outsider take care of it," Sawada Ichiro said in a deep voice. Long Tengyu said hatefully, "Who said it wasn't, but my old man just believed that bitch. He said that she was some kind of business genius and handed over most of the family business to her. It really pissed me off. Young Master Long, I believe that with our cooperation, the Long family's huge business will definitely be handed over to you. Haha, I have always believed in your strength. This time, we must plan well and give that bitch a fatal blow. Don't worry, young Master Long. I will stay in Huaxia for a while. We have enough time to plan all this. I believe that we will let young Master Long get satisfied benefits." Hearing this series of dialogue, Tang Zheng's heart was in turmoil. It turned out that Wang Fuchuan, who was murdered by Xiao Xiaoling on the train, was actually Long Tengyu's subordinate. It was just that the matter was exposed, so Long Tengyu found someone to kill him. Long Tengyu is really despicable. In order to deal with Mu Hongyang, he actually joined forces with the devils and forgot the classics. "Mr. Sawada Ichiro, I still have a meal. There is a great beauty waiting for me. I'll go first, hey," Long Tengyu said. "Young Master Long, please. We'll contact you later." Hearing Long Tengyu's footsteps leaving the room, Tang Zheng was hesitant. This Long Tengyu had always wanted to deal with Mu Hongyang. Did he come to the capital this time for this matter? No, for the sake of Nana, and for the sake of Mu Hongyang, I must follow Long Tengyu to see what the hell he is up to. As for these people from the island nation, they can't run away anyway, so I don't have to show up in a hurry. Tang Zheng returned to the building from the window of the stairwell and just happened to see Long Tengyu walk into the elevator. Tang Zheng hurriedly rushed over and finally found that the elevator stopped on the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor is a restaurant. Could it be that Long Tengyu's dinner is in this hotel? Tang Zheng also went down to the 3rd floor. He saw that the 3rd floor was a magnificent restaurant, but there was no trace of Long Tengyu in the hall. The other party must have gone to a private room. The waiter hurriedly came up to him and asked politely, "Sir, may I ask if you want to eat?" Tang Zheng said calmly, "Which room did young Master Long book?" The waiter immediately revealed a bright smile and said, "Sky Room 1, young Master Long just entered, I'll bring you there." Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. Obviously, Long Tengyu was a regular here, so even the waiter knew him. Indeed, every time Long Tengyu came to the capital, he would stay in this hotel, so even the waiter remembered his face. Tang Zheng waved his hand and said indifferently, "No need, I'll go by myself." He walked into the restaurant with his head held high and his chest puffed out. Soon, he found Sky Room 1. It seemed to be very lively inside, and the faint sound of toasting could be heard. Tang Zheng couldn't just rush in like that. That way, he wouldn't be able to find out Long Tengyu's scheme. From time to time, there would be guests and waiters passing by, so Tang Zheng couldn't lie on top of the door. Furthermore, this private room was on the 3rd floor, so if he were to lie on top of the wall, everyone on the street would be able to see him clearly. Forget it, I'll just keep an eye on this door. He'll come out eventually, so I'd like to see who he's meeting with. Tang Zheng hid in a shadow in the distance, and just happened to be able to see the door of the private room. After waiting for 2 hours, he finally saw the door open. Long Tengyu walked out like a moon surrounded by stars, and a familiar figure jumped into Tang Zheng's eyes. How could it be her? Liu Qingmai, who left without saying goodbye. Looking at the figure in the crowd, Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. After he and Liu Qingmai had a close relationship, Liu Qingmai left without saying goodbye, as if she had disappeared from the face of the earth. Tang Zheng only knew that Liu Qingmei's father was the governor, and wanted to ask him about Liu Qingmei's whereabouts. However, after thinking about it, after what had happened between the two of them, and Liu Qingmei had taken the initiative to leave, showing her attitude. She did not want to have anything to do with Tang Zheng in the future, so as not to increase the awkwardness. Just now, Long Tengyu said that there was a great beauty waiting for him. Could it be that he was talking about Liu Qingmei? Tang Zheng had a strange feeling at the bottom of his heart. He was the first man in Liu Qingmei's body, and seeing her by Long Tengyu's side, a burst of anger rose from the bottom of his heart. No, we can't let her walk with Long Tengyu. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and quietly followed. Qingmei, send young Master Long back to his room. A middle-aged man with a big belly said with a smile. He even smiled flatteringly at Long Tengyu, "Young Master Long, rest well tonight. I'll leave this batch of orders to you." Long Tengyu waved his hand and said heroically, "Don't worry, that batch of orders is a piece of cake." Liu Qingmei, who had been silent all this time, said, "Boss, I still have to go to work tomorrow. I have to go back early. Let the others send young Master Long back to his room." "What's so difficult about that? I'll give you a day off tomorrow. Be obedient and send young Master Long back to his room. They are our company's distinguished guests." The big-bellied man said unquestionably. "Yes, Qingmei, just send him off. Our performance is all counting on young Master Long. How can we neglect our distinguished guests?" The others quickly chimed in. Liu Qingmei nodded reluctantly. Long Tengyu and the big-bellied man looked at each other. The corners of their mouths hooked up into an imperceptible smile. Tang Zheng quietly followed Long Tengyu and Liu Qingmei up to the 18th floor. From afar, he saw the two standing at the door. He heard Liu Qingmei say, "Young Master Long, your room is here. I'm going back." Long Tengyu smiled and said, "Why are you in such a hurry? You didn't drink a single drop of wine at the table. Now give me some face and accompany me in for a drink." Liu Qingmei said with a cold face, "Young Master Long, I don't know how to drink." Ever since that night, she swore never to drink again. She absolutely could not let that kind of situation happen again. Tang Zheng heard the conversation between the two from afar. His heart ached. He could already confirm that the flower thief that night was Takashi. No, to be precise, he was Daoist Tianji's disciple. However, in the end, it was Tang Zheng who took advantage of it. Long Tengyu's face darkened and said, "Miss Liu, are you not giving me face? It's just a glass of wine. It's not a big deal. If you don't agree, then your company's business is out of the question." According to Liu Qingmei's temper in the past, she would definitely answer without hesitation. "So what if it's yellow? It's none of my business." But after that incident, her temper changed a lot. Moreover, she came to the capital alone to make a living. She wanted to rely on her own ability to make a career. She had just entered the company not long ago, so for the sake of performance, she chose to endure. She resisted the urge to turn around and leave and said, "Young Master Long, I really don't know how to drink." "You don't drink, right? Then can you drink a cup of coffee? I've already given in. If you still don't give me face, then there's really no need to talk about this business." Long Tengyu said sternly. Liu Qingmei hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "All right, I'll just drink a cup of coffee and leave." "That's more like it." Long Tengyu's lips curled into a sinister smile as he closed the door. Chapter 324. Seeing the two of them enter the door, Tang Zheng was sure that Long Tengyu definitely did not have good intentions. Back then in Dianan, he dared to have ill intentions towards Fang Shusha, and this was also the germination of his old habits. Everyone's Ghent was a patriotic pine. "Long Tengyu, you've dared to lay your hands on my woman time and time again. Today is the day you die." Tang Zheng gritted his teeth. Inside the room, Long Tengyu brewed 2 cups of coffee and handed them over to Liu Qingmei. He smiled and said, "In this capital, there are not many beautiful ladies like Miss Liu. I am very happy to meet Miss Liu today." "Thank you." Liu Qingmei said coldly, "I've finished my coffee, so I'm leaving." "Miss Liu, why are you in such a hurry? We can chat for a while and talk about our hearts." "I'm sorry, I need to go back and rest." "You can rest here too." Liu Qingmei's expression suddenly changed, and said, "Young Master Long, please show some respect." "Respect? Haha, I have always respected women, especially great beauties. I am very gentle." Long Tengyu laughed evilly. Liu Qingmei did not want to say more, so she stood up and walked towards the door. Long Tengyu was stunned for a moment. He did not expect the other party to have such a strong personality, but this made him even more interested. How could he just watch the other party leave? So he said calmly, "If you walk out of this door, then I will make your company go bankrupt tomorrow." Liu Qingmei originally had a fluke mentality, thinking that drinking a cup of coffee would be enough, but she did not expect Long Tengyu to have such evil intentions. This was something she absolutely could not tolerate, so she turned around and looked at Long Tengyu with disgust, and said resolutely, "If you go bankrupt, then go bankrupt. That has nothing to do with me." Long Tengyu flew into a rage. F***ck, this young master will eat you today. "You want to run? No way. When I get you into bed later, let's see how you can still be so noble." With that, he pounced towards Liu Qingmei like a tiger pouncing on its prey. Liu Qingmei's wrist was immediately grabbed by him. Liu Qingmei was just an ordinary person. How could he be a match for a martial artist like Long Tengyu? She couldn't help but scream, waving the handbag in her hand and smashing it on Long Tengyu's head. Long Tengyu did not expect the other party to dare to resist, and was even more furious. With a swing of his hand, Liu Qingmei was lightly thrown onto the bed. Liu Qingmei screamed. She did not expect that things would turn out this way. Here, no one would come to save her, no one would come to save her. She wanted to cry but had no tears. A figure involuntarily appeared in her mind, Tang Zheng. "Tang Zheng, can you save me again?" Back then, after she left ordinary balance without a word, she thought that the memories of that night would gradually fade away. She didn't expect that it would be like a spell, replaying in her mind over and over again. She knew that what happened that night could not be blamed on Tang Zheng, but rather on that despicable criminal who drugged her. But she was a teacher and Tang Zheng was a student, so for something like this to happen between the two, she could not face it. During the days she came to the capital, she wanted to forget that figure through work. She didn't expect that figure to become clearer and clearer in the middle of the night. The more she wanted to forget, the clearer she remembered it. She couldn't help but recall the bits and pieces of her acquaintance with Tang Zheng. Originally, she didn't have much feelings for this student, but after Tang Zheng's outstanding performance time and time again, his image gradually filled up in her heart. Especially after Tang Zheng risked his life to save her from Song Donghua's evil clutches. Tang Zheng's image was finally fixed in her heart and couldn't be erased. However, Liu Qingmai didn't notice this. Although their relationship became closer and closer, and she was more and more concerned about Tang Zheng, she still subconsciously attributed it to the feelings between a teacher and a student. However, she didn't realize that this had already surpassed the feelings between a teacher and a student. It was the purest love between a man and a woman. She had made a move on Tang Zheng. However, she had already left Tang Zheng. Her pride made it impossible for her to go back and look for Tang Zheng. However, at this moment, she hoped that Tang Zheng would appear and save her from the evil clutches just like before. If Tang Zheng appeared again, then she definitely wouldn't let him go. Instead, she would be loyal to her heart and accompany him. But she knew that this was just wishful thinking. It was impossible. How did Tang Zheng know that she was in danger? Haha, let's see how you can escape from my grasp. This young master will play with you tonight. Long Tengyu laughed maniacally, pretending to pounce on the beauty on the bed. Catcher. There was a soft sound of the door being turned, and then the door opened, and a person rushed in. Long Tengyu's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly turned his head and roared, "Who is it that came to ruin my good fortune?" He didn't see the person clearly because the other party's speed was too fast. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge fist rushed toward his chest. He hurriedly counterattacked. After all, his skills were not bad. With a backhand slap, a surging force crashed into his palm, while another force crashed into his chest. Like a kite with a broken string, he flew to a corner and smashed a table into pieces. Liu Qingmai had already given up all hope, but when she saw this scene, her screams came to an abrupt end. She stared at the person who had come, dumbfounded. "Ah!" she screamed again. This time, it was mixed with ecstasy. Did the heavens hear her prayer? A miracle had actually happened. Tang Zheng had really appeared. If this was not the arrangement of the heavens, how could all of this have happened? She was deeply moved, and tears welled up in her eyes. She was truly blessed. Tang Zheng was her guardian angel. No matter what danger she encountered, Tang Zheng would appear in time. Tang Zheng looked at Liu Qingmai, who was crying on the bed, and his heart softened. He asked softly, "Are you all right?" Liu Qingmai shook her head and threw herself into Tang Zheng's arms. She was so excited that she said incoherently, "I knew you would come back to save me. I've been waiting for you for so long. I'll never let you leave again. I'll be with you for the rest of my life." As she spoke, she actually took the initiative to kiss Tang Zheng passionately. Tang Zheng was flabbergasted. He did not expect Liu Qingmai to be so enthusiastic. That familiar smell made him involuntarily recall the scene of that night. He hugged Liu Qingmai and would never let go. She was his, Tang Zheng's, woman, and he would never allow outsiders to touch her. Tang Zheng's head rose with a man's arrogance and strong desire to possess. The famous flower was already taken, and if anyone dared to have any ideas about this flower, then he would crush them into pieces. Long Tengyu finally saw clearly who the person was. When he saw that face, his expression immediately became very interesting. This face was his nightmare. Back then, he had almost killed him in the Long family's territory. If Long Shenyuan had not stopped him, then he would have already become a wandering ghost under Tang Zheng's sword. He was filled with anger towards this person. He had always wanted to take revenge, but he had never found the right opportunity. But this time, they actually met again by accident. Furthermore, it seemed that this Liu Qingmai had an unusual relationship with him. Why? Why were all the beauties in the world related to Tang Zheng? Why were all these women willing to surround Tang Zheng? Mu Hongyang was like this, Fang Shusha was like this, and even this Liu Qingmai, who was originally unrelated to him, actually had such a relationship with Tang Zheng. Long Tengyu really wanted to ask the heavens why they were so unfair, and even kissed him passionately in front of him. Wasn't this woman a chaste and virtuous woman just now? Why was she so passionate towards Tang Zheng? Long Tengyu's eyes gradually turned red. He crawled up in a sorry state and roared, "Tang Zheng, you ruined my plans again." The two of them had no choice but to let go of each other. Liu Qingmai snuggled into Tang Zheng's arms like a little bird and asked curiously, "Do you know each other?" "Yes, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. I didn't kill him last time, but this time, he actually came out to harm others." Tang Zheng said hatefully, "Tang Zheng, I didn't kill you last time in Dianan. This time, I met you again. That will be the time of your death." Long Tengyu said fiercely. Tang Zheng disdainfully said, "Just whose time of death is this? I believe you know in your heart." He turned to Liu Qingmai and said softly, "Sister Mai, you watch from the side. I'll deal with this beast first." Long Tengyu was shocked. He suddenly remembered that he was not a match for Tang Zheng. Looking at the other party's aggressive gaze, he knew that this time, there was no way to be kind. As long as I rush out of this door, Tang Zheng will not be able to escape. Sawada Ichiro is an expert of the island, he will definitely be able to defeat this brat. That's right, let's use Sawada Ichiro to kill this brat. Long Tengyu thought of a plan, his heart was set, he roared, and directly rushed towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng attacked, but it missed, because Long Tengyu's attack was just a feint, his real goal was to rush to the door. Seeing that he had already swept past Tang Zheng's heart moved, and he understood the other party's thoughts. He shouted, "You want to escape? Come back." The earth-shrinking technique exploded, and his speed suddenly increased. Just as the other party's hand was about to touch the door handle, he grabbed the other party's neck and threw him back. Bang! Long Tengyu fell onto the bed, smashing the sturdy bed and sinking into the quilt. Tang Zheng tiptoed and pounced forward again. Long Tengyu took a deep breath, slapped the ground with his palm, then stood up and quickly dodged backwards. In this narrow space, only two figures could be seen moving and dodging. They were so fast that no one could see them clearly. This was the first time Liu Qingmai had seen Tang Zheng's true skills. She couldn't help but hold her breath. Her tears had stopped, and her eyes gradually lit up. So Tang Zheng was actually so powerful. Her little heart thumped wildly, as if she had a whole new understanding of Tang Zheng, and the feelings in her heart had finally completely exploded. I'm her woman, and she's my guardian. She was overjoyed, and became more and more determined. Long Tengyu fled like a stray dog, but there was no way for him to rush out of the room. The soundproofing effect of the room was very good, even if they fought in the room until it was dark and blood flowed like a river, no one outside would notice. He regretted not falling. Why didn't he find another hotel with poor soundproofing? That way, he wouldn't have to be so passive. He gradually felt that death was approaching him. Chapter 325. Long Tengyu was filled with regret and hatred. Tang Zheng was simply his nemesis. Ever since he met Tang Zheng, nothing in his life had gone smoothly. Ghent is a patriotic pine. It wasn't easy for him to come to the capital this time, but he didn't expect that he still couldn't get rid of this nemesis. Tang Zheng, are you really going to kill me? I am the son of Long Shenyuan. If you kill me, the old man will not let you go. Long Tengyu was ready to use his father's name to scare Tang Zheng. You've harmed countless people by relying on the Long family. Today, I'm going to get rid of this evil for the people. You want me to let you go? No way. Tang Zheng's attitude was resolute. His attacks became fiercer and fiercer. When he saw an opening in his opponent's defense, he struck his opponent's chest with his palm. Bang! Long Tengyu crashed into the glass window. With a crashing sound, the glass shattered into pieces and he flew straight out. Ah! Long Tengyu screamed miserably. This was a tall building with more than 10 floors. He was scared out of his wits. He grabbed onto the windowsill and shouted, Tang Zheng, I beg you, don't kill me. I'll give you whatever you want. Isn't it just a woman? At worst, I'll never touch your woman again. Murderous intent flashed in Tang Zheng's eyes. He knew very well that the words of this kind of playboy could not be easily believed. It was better to believe that pigs could fly than to hope that they would turn over a new leaf. Bang! Tang Zheng once again slapped Long Tengyu's finger that was grabbing onto the window. Catcher! The finger bones shattered. Long Tengyu subconsciously let go of his hand, and his body quickly fell down. Ah! A blood-curdling scream echoed through the night sky. Tang Zheng didn't look at her for long. He grabbed Liu Qingmei's hand and said, "Sister Mai, let's go." The two of them quickly went downstairs. Just as they walked out of the hotel entrance, they saw the hotel staff running towards the direction where Long Tengyu had fallen. No one noticed that the two of them had disappeared into the night. They only stopped when they had passed a few streets. Liu Qingmei gasped for breath. Just now, her adrenaline had been secreted rapidly. Now that the momentum had passed, she felt a little scared and her legs were a little weak. "Tang Zheng, did you really kill him?" Liu Qingmei asked in fear. Tang Zheng calmly said, "Don't worry, this kind of person deserves to die. But he is from the Long family in Dianan. You will get into trouble." Liu Qingmei said worriedly. Tang Zheng shook his head and said nothing. Anyway, he had already offended the Chu family in the capital. He didn't care about offending the Long family in Dianan. Besides, in that situation, Tang Zheng really couldn't control his anger. It was impossible for him to not do something. Seeing Tang Zheng's understatement, Liu Qingmei couldn't figure him out. She still advised, "Let's leave the capital together and return to the ordinary balance. Even if the Long family wants to deal with you, in the ordinary balance, I can ask my father to restrain the Long family." Seeing that she didn't hesitate to use her family's strength to resolve this crisis, a warm current flowed through Tang Zheng's heart. He tightly hugged her waist and said righteously, "I am a man, how can I hide behind a woman? Don't worry, we'll deal with whatever comes our way. If the Long family comes, they might not be able to kill me as they wish." Tang Zheng had his last trump card. In the end, he could just hide under the imperial city. Long Shenyuan couldn't break through the formation. It was harder than ascending to the heavens to kill him. Seeing his heroic appearance, Liu Qingmei's heart was about to melt. Leaning in his arms and feeling his surging and powerful heart, her cheeks couldn't help but blush. She thought, why is his masculinity getting stronger and stronger? He is much more mature than when he was in high school. Immediately, she couldn't help but hug his body tightly. Tang Zheng felt her movements, lowered his head to look, and found that her face was flushed red. He couldn't help but stare blankly. He lowered his head and kissed her. Woo-woo. Liu Qingmei symbolically struggled for a moment before she hooked her arms around his neck and responded. This was the first time they had done this kind of thing on the streets. The two people's hearts sped up a bit. Although it was night time, there were still many pedestrians who looked over and saluted them. Liu Qingmei's body gradually heated up. Her feelings were like a volcanic eruption, as if she was going to melt. Tang Zheng also felt this burning feeling. He hugged her tightly, wishing that he could rub her into his body. After a long time, Liu Qingmei released because of the lack of oxygen. Her face was like a ripe apple, bright and juicy. She coquettishly said, "Let's go back, not here." She had completely removed her cold disguise and revealed her true side. "I'm living in school now, it's not convenient for me there." "You really came to the capital to go to university?" "Of course, Yanqing University. Of course we're not going back to your school. We're going back to my house. I rented a house nearby," Liu Qingmei said. "Do you want to take a taxi?" "No, you can walk with me. I've been in the capital for so long, but I haven't had a good look at the night scene." Liu Qingmei took a deep breath and said. The air was already a little cold, so she tightened her jacket. "I'll take off my coat and give it to you," Tang Zheng said. Liu Qingmei shook her head and said, "I'm not cold, just hug me." To her, Tang Zheng's embrace was the warmest place in the world. Tang Zheng hugged her and quietly strolled along the street, like a very intimate couple. At this moment, the hotel was in an uproar. Long Tengyu's fall was very loud, but he did not directly fall to the ground. Instead, he fell to the glass wall of the large advertisement, and then fell to the ground after a buffer. But even so, falling from a height of tens of meters still caused a lot of damage. It was unknown how many bones were broken, and he fell into a coma. The hotel staff surrounded him in a circle. Someone had already called for an ambulance, and many hotel guests were pointing at him. It was definitely a big deal for something like this to happen in a 5-star hotel. Everyone was guessing the identity of the person who fell from the building and the reason for it. Sawada Ichiro was also in the crowd. He was attracted by Long Tengyu's screams, and when he saw Long Tengyu on the ground, his face revealed a look of shock. He was very clear about the strength and influence of the Long family in this country. It was definitely unprecedented for someone to dare to kill Long Tengyu. Moreover, he and Long Tengyu were partners. If Long Tengyu died, his interests would be damaged. Therefore, no matter what, he could not just watch Long Tengyu die. Seeing that Long Tengyu's chest was still rising and falling slightly, Sawada Ichiro knew that the other party was not dead. Thus, he hurriedly walked over and pushed the hotel staff away, saying, "Get out of the way, I'll save him." "No, wait for the doctor." The hotel staff had already recognized Long Tengyu and did not dare to act rashly, much less let others get close to Long Tengyu. Sawada Ichiro snorted coldly, and in a flash, he passed through the human wall, squatted in front of Long Tengyu, and started to circulate his energy to treat him. It had to be said that Long Tengyu was really lucky. At the critical moment, he used his energy to protect his internal organs. Although the huge impact broke many of his bones, his life was indeed saved. Of course, if it wasn't for the buffer of the advertising wall, he would have died without a doubt. This was something that Tang Zheng did not expect. "Young Master Long, you're awake. Who hurt you?" Under Sawada Ichiro's treatment, Long Tengyu finally opened his eyes slowly, causing the other people who wanted to rush up and chase Sawada Ichiro away to stop. Long Tengyu grimaced as he sucked in a breath of cold air. This time, he had really walked through the gates of hell. The moment he fell off the building, he felt as if he had seen the god of death. However, he was lucky enough to survive. He couldn't help but feel a lingering fear, but more than that, he was filled with anger. His eyes were wide open, as if his eyeballs were about to pop out. He gritted his teeth and growled, "Tang Zheng, it's Tang Zheng who wants to kill me." Tang Zheng? Sawada Ichiro was stunned for a moment. He was shocked. Wasn't his disciple, Jiangchuan Yuanye, also defeated by a person called Tang Zheng today? Could it be that these two were the same person? "Young Master Long, who is Tang Zheng?" "A despicable fellow, I want to kill him, I want to take revenge." "Ah!" Long Tengyu roared, but it affected his wounds, causing him to moan in pain. "Is Tang Zheng a student of Yenching University?" Sawada Ichiro asked. "I don't know, I don't care where he is, I must dig 3 feet into the ground to find him." "Sawada Ichiro, I will add another condition to our cooperation, and that is, we must make Tang Zheng disappear from this world. Only when he is dead can our cooperation continue." Long Tengyu said hatefully. Sawada Ichiro muttered to himself for a moment, then said, "Don't worry, young Master Long, as long as we find out who this person is, we will definitely do as you wish." Whether or not this Tang Zheng and the person who defeated his disciple were the same person, Sawada Ichiro had no reason to refuse, because in his eyes, Tang Zheng was an insignificant person. At this time, the ambulance arrived, and Long Tengyu was carried to the car and quickly sent to the hospital. The news of Long Tengyu falling and almost dying quickly spread throughout the capital, and it was believed that it was caused by him, but no one knew who this person was. Although the Long family's headquarters was in southern Yunnan, they still had quite a bit of influence in the capital. Who knew how many pairs of eyes were staring at the Long family? Thus, they all investigated the truth behind Long Tengyu's fall. Unknowingly, a strange feeling arose in everyone's heart. During this period of time, the capital was truly troubled. First, it was Chu Xiaofeng, then it was Long Tengyu. It seemed that the disciples of these large families were really unlucky recently. Bad things happened one after another. Many people were guessing who was targeting Long Tengyu this time. They didn't know how big of a storm it would cause. Sawada Ichiro also ordered Jiangchuan Yuanya to investigate Tang Zheng and lock onto Tang Zheng's whereabouts. No matter what, he had to crush this stumbling block. At the same time, no one noticed that a figure had snuck into the capital's police forensics center and saw 2 corpses that had been sucked dry of blood. Looking at these 2 corpses, she finally confirmed that these 2 people were indeed killed by the demon god, which meant that the demon god was really in the capital. She immediately reported this matter to the martial sect's sect master and also started an investigation. She was determined to track down the whereabouts of the demon god. As one of the parties involved in all of this, Tang Zheng walked into an apartment with Liu Qingmai in his arms. The night was long, and it seemed that something would happen. Chapter 326. Liu Qingmei's residence was a single room, but it was still warm and elegant, without any sense of disorder. It seems that ever since Tang Zheng first bumped into the messy scene of her house, she has changed this habit. "Do you want some water? I'll boil some water for you," Liu Qingmai said. "No need." Tang Zheng held her hand and stared at her. A man and a woman alone in a room. He couldn't help but recall the scene from that night, and his heart began to heat up. Seeing the passion in his eyes, Liu Qingmai gave a charming smile. "Was it that good to look at?" "I couldn't stop looking." "Of course it was good to look at." Tang Zheng's arm tightened, and she tightly stuck to his body. Her curvaceous body ignited the flames in his heart. "Let's go to bed." Liu Qingmei's emotions were stirred up, and she said softly, "All right." Tang Zheng picked her up by the waist, and walked straight to the bed. Perhaps it was because the impression of that night was too deep, but Tang Zheng's heart was only filled with the most primitive desire. Liu Qingmai was gently placed on the bed. She stared at him and said, "I originally thought that I would never see you again. I never thought that you would save me again. This is the will of the heavens. Right, this is the will of the heavens. In the future, you are not allowed to leave without saying goodbye. Otherwise, I will spank your butt," Tang Zheng said as he slapped her butt. She cried out in surprise and pouted. "Tang Zheng, you've changed compared to before. Is that so? How come I didn't notice?" Tang Zheng was shocked. It seemed that his personality had changed greatly compared to before. The indecisiveness in his personality had decreased by quite a bit, and he had gained a kind of decisiveness. Could it be because I absorbed the dragon qi? If it was before, even if he and Liu Qingmei's relationship was already natural, he would not be so proactive. This was indeed because of the dragon qi. Of course, on the other hand, it was also because his cultivation was getting higher and higher. That kind of temperament that came from the bottom of his heart had undergone a tremendous change. Moreover, his attitude towards many rules in real life had also changed. In the past, he would still fuss over the matters between himself and women. For example, he already had Fang Shusha. If something happened between him and Liu Qingmai, wouldn't it conflict with the rules of society? However, at this moment, the feeling in his heart had become very calm. There was no choice or conflict. Instead, he let nature take its course and did things according to his own heart. Perhaps this was the nature of many men's genes being stimulated. Since ancient times, men would be a little more domineering in this aspect, and the average man's achievements were too small, so his nature in this aspect was suppressed. As Tang Zheng's cultivation grew higher, his nature in this aspect was liberated. Seeing the confusion in Tang Zheng's eyes, Liu Qingmai smiled and hooked her arms around his neck. She took the initiative to go up to him and said, "But I like this change very much. You're really starting to mature. I'm not a little man. You're a little man. You're even younger than me." Liu Qingmai also felt a sense of absurdity in her heart. Logically speaking, she wouldn't be interested in a little man who was a few years younger than her, let alone fall in love with him. However, the reality was so wonderful. The impossible really did happen. Was this a miracle? Yes. Liu Qingmai was sure that this was a miracle. A miracle was the will of the heavens. Since it was the will of the heavens, then she would follow the will of the heavens and accept this wonderful feeling. "How am I small?" "I'm very big," Tang Zheng said with a mischievous smile. "Very big? How come I don't see it?" Liu Qingmai obviously knew what he meant. She deliberately put on an expression of disbelief and said, "Tempage, you dare to doubt me? Then I'll let you see if it's big or not. Tang Zheng grabbed her hand and guided it to a place. Ah, what are you doing? Wow, it's really big. Liu Qingmai obviously knew what she was touching. It was really big. Her breathing couldn't help but quicken. Next, I'm going to see if yours is big or not. Ah, what are you doing? Liu Qingmai deliberately exclaimed, refusing to welcome him. Soon, the sound of fighting turned into the sound of panting, rolling in the waves and filling the room with the beauty of spring. At the same time, Sawada Ichiro had already obtained the photo of Tang Zheng from Jiangchuan Yuanye. He immediately went to find Long Tengyu. Long Tengyu had already finished the operation and was lying on the hospital bed, breathing heavily. Although he had saved his life, his injuries were not something that could be healed in a short period of time. When Sawada Ichiro walked in, he found Long Tengyu staring blankly at the snow-white ceiling. This matter was a huge blow to Long Tengyu. He did not expect that he would lose to an unknown person, and almost die at that. Young Master Long, is this the Tang Zheng you were talking about? Sawada Ichiro took out his phone and showed it to Long Tengyu. Long Tengyu's eyes immediately burst out with sparks. With a sinister expression, he said, "It's him. I want to burn his bones and scatter his ashes." Sawada Ichiro was stunned. He did not expect that these two Tang Zheng were actually the same person. This way, it would save him a lot of trouble and deal with this Tang Zheng once and for all. "I want him to die immediately." "I understand, young Master Long. You take care of your injuries. I promise you that he won't see the sun the day after tomorrow," Sawada Ichiro said with a murderous aura. At dawn, Tang Zheng opened his eyes and stretched his waist. He found that the beauty in his arms was sleeping soundly. Last night, the two of them had been tormenting each other for most of the night. Last time, Liu Qingmai had a relationship with Tang Zheng under the stimulation of drugs. In fact, she did not experience the subtle feeling of it. This time, in order to make up for it, she had a second chance with Tang Zheng, and could be considered to have truly tasted the flavor. Although she was slightly older than Tang Zheng, her experience in this matter was far inferior to Tang Zheng's. Just as Tang Zheng was about to get out of bed, Liu Qingmai woke up and swam up like a fish, tightly hugging his waist. Her naked body stuck to Tang Zheng, like a clingy little woman. "I'll go make breakfast. You can continue sleeping for a while," Tang Zheng said softly. Liu Qingmai lazily shook her head and said, "No, I want you to continue lying down with me." "Hihi, all right, I'll lie down with you." Tang Zheng simply crawled back into bed. The two fiery bodies were entangled together. That soul-stirring and graceful body made Tang Zheng surge. "Don't let your imagination run wild. Last night, you tormented me until I don't have any strength. I don't want to be weak in the middle of the day," Liu Qingmai said. "All right, I'll listen to you." Tang Zheng's big hands wandered around her body, but there was no substantial invasion. Liu Qingmai enjoyed this kind of caress. She slightly closed her eyes and picked up the phone on the bedside to turn it on. Ring ring ring. A burst of urgent ringtone sounded. Liu Qingmai looked at the caller ID and unhappily frowned. She hesitated for a moment before pressing the answer button. "Liu Qingmai, where are you? What did you do last night? How did young Master Long get injured? You've caused our company's order to be cancelled. You have to take responsibility, do you understand?" A roar sounded out. It was particularly ear-piercing. Hearing this, Tang Zheng frowned and flew into a rage. This was the voice of the big-bellied man from yesterday. Liu Qingmai waved her hand at Tang Zheng, indicating for him to calm down. Her voice returned to its cold state and said, "What does Long Tengyu's injury have to do with me? You have ill intentions. It's a good thing that your order is cancelled. It's best if your company goes bankrupt as well." The other party was stunned for a moment. Obviously, he did not expect Liu Qingmai to answer him like this. He paused for a moment, then raised his voice and roared, "Liu Qingmai, do you know what you're talking about? Be careful or I'll fire you. It's more like I'll fire you. I don't want to do it anymore. Where did you come from? Scram back to where you came from." The big-bellied man was stunned. It took him a long time to react. He said angrily, "Who is young Master Long?" You dare to hurt young Master Long? POW. Liu Qingmai immediately hung up the phone. She did not want to waste any more time with him. She said indignantly, "This person is too annoying. I was really blind to work at his company back then. Last night, he was clearly in cahoots with Long Tengyu. We can't let him go just like that." Tang Zheng was very angry that he dared to harm his woman. Liu Qingmai patted his chest and said, "Forget it, he has offended Long Tengyu this time, so he will not have a good time. I think his company is really going to go bankrupt." Seeing Liu Qingmei's persuasion, Tang Zheng stopped pursuing the matter and said, "He just said that Long Tengyu is not dead. This person's life is really big." Liu Qingmai heaved a sigh of relief and said, "It's good that you're not dead. This way, you'll have less trouble." Tang Zheng shook his head and laughed bitterly. With Long Tengyu's personality, if he did not die, there might not be less trouble, but no matter how Long Tengyu wanted to play, he would accompany him to the end. However, if Long Tengyu wanted to take revenge, he might come for Liu Qingmai. This was what he was most worried about. Sister Mai has a profound yin body, and her physique is even better than a pure yin body. I don't know if she's suitable for cultivation, but since she's my woman, why don't we let her cultivate as well? Tang Zheng had an idea. Although cultivators were not safe right now, he was even more worried that Liu Qingmai did not have the slightest ability to protect herself. Furthermore, Fang Shusha was also a cultivator. If he did not bring Liu Qingmai along this path, wouldn't it be unfair? However, he was not prepared to pass on Fang Shusha's cultivation technique to Liu Qingmai. He wanted to find another suitable cultivation technique for her, so he could only put this matter aside for the time being. "Sister Mai, you stay at home today and don't go out. I'll go take care of this matter," Tang Zheng warned. "No, I'll go with you." Tang Zheng shook his head and said, "Be obedient, I can solve the problem by myself. If you go, I'll be worried instead." Liu Qingmai was conflicted in her heart, but she could only compromise. After the two of them had breakfast, Tang Zheng went to the underground of the imperial city alone and brought out Xiao Bai. This little guy seemed to like to stay with the golden dragon and was reluctant to part with it. Then he left Xiao Bai at Liu Qingmei's house and told Xiao Bai to protect Liu Qingmai. Liu Qingmai did not know about Xiao Bai's ability, but when she saw such a cute puppy, she really liked it. She promised that with this little guy by her side, she would not leave the house today. Only then did Tang Zheng feel relieved and go back to school. When he walked to the school gate, he saw two people walking towards him with unfriendly expressions. "You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.